Donald Trump trounced his opponents on Super Tuesday. That means some of his existing policy ideas are getting closer and closer to a reality test, and one of the most controversial ones is his proposal to build a colossal wall along the United States-Mexico border. In last week's CNN debate, he told voters how he would get it done.
Now the wall is $10 billion to $12 billion if I do it. If these guys do it, it'll end up costing $200 billion. You need 1,000 miles, and it's a real wall. This is a wall that's a heck of a lot higher than the ceiling you're looking at. This is a wall that's going to work.
But here's a closer look at what Trump's wall would entail. First of all, the current wall spans the entire length of the 2,000-mile U.S.-Mexico border, mostly in fragments. It consists of about a dozen different types of barriers, from vehicle barriers to pedestrian fencing. The U.S. has already built about 700 miles of the wall as a result of the 2006 Secure Fencing Act. Most of it's in California, Arizona, and New Mexico. Trump wants at least 1,000 miles of wall along the border, particularly in Texas. The highest the current wall gets is a mere 18 feet, which is nothing compared to the 30-foot wall Trump proposed last year in August, or the 50-foot one he later amended in October, or the 35-foot one from February, or the 41-foot one a little later in the month, or the 45-foot one from a few days after that, or the most recent figure, 55 feet. As for the wall's material, Trump wants to use precast planks of concrete like you see along some highways. He wants the wall to have a big, beautiful door that would only let in good immigrants, while keeping bad ones out. In the end, the massive project could require twice the amount of concrete as the Hoover Dam. But Trump's wall would run into complications here especially, along the Texas border, where the Rio Grande River demarcates United States territory from Mexico. 65% of the border is in Texas, but Texas currently only has 150 miles of barriers. And that's because Congress has run into a number of complications there. First of all, U.S.-Mexico treaties prevent either side from building anything within the Rio Grande's floodplains. That means the U.S. has to build fencing primarily on the private property of Texans, especially ranchers, who don't generally want to sell their land to the federal government. The issue of eminent domain in Texas, or land condemnation, where the government sues or compensates individuals for permission to build in their backyards, adds a tremendous cost to Trump's project. While some engineers have pinned the cost of Trump's wall at $25 billion, $15 billion more than he's proposed, land condemnation could drive the price tag up even higher. In any case, Trump's wall could get built. It just might drain the American economy.
Welcome to the Real News Network. I'm Jessica Devereaux in Baltimore. The Motor City hosted a Fox News Republican debate on Thursday where the four leading candidates went toe-to-toe, discussing everything from Trump's hand size to him flip-flopping on policy. It was a stark contrast to the hundreds of peaceful protesters who were outside the debate calling for a $15 minimum wage and bringing attention to the Flint water crisis. The billionaire Trump is leading in Michigan polls, and on Friday he held a rally where he went after how Mexico is becoming the auto manufacturer of the world.
About a year and a half ago, I heard that Ford, anybody work for Ford here? Good company, smart company. But I heard that Ford is going to build a plant in Mexico, $2.5 billion. And I have to tell you, for a one-story building, that's got to be about the most expensive plant I've ever heard of. Is that a correct statement? You guys are in the car business. It has to be one of the most expensive. So they're going to build it in Mexico. They're going to make cars, trucks, and parts. And they're going to sell them all over, but they're going to sell a lot of them right into the United States. Now, listen to this. Listen to this. Don't worry. I'm with you, folks. I'm with you. And by the way, this is the reason I'm leading by a lot in Michigan, because everyone knows all I talk about is cars. If you get laid off on Tuesday, I still want you voting. I'll get you a new job. Don't worry about it. In a couple of years, you'll go home to your wife or you'll go home to your husband and say, darling, I have so many job opportunities, I'm going absolutely crazy. I don't know what's happening. As opposed to now. Now you get laid off, you don't know what's happening. So we're gonna take care of it.
Big promises, and some might even say in the realm of fantasy. Now joining us to break down Trump's appeal and his rise in the Republican Party are our two guests. Jeff Foe is the founder and now distinguished fellow of the Economic Policy Institute. And also joining us is Frank Hammer. He's a retired GM employee of 32 years. He's also the former president of the United Auto Workers Local 909 and worked in the GM department of the United Auto Workers. He's currently a labor organizer at the School of the Americas Watch. watch. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen.
Good to be here.
Happy to be with you.
So, Frank, you are there in Michigan, and I'm trying to get a sense of why Trump is doing so well in the polls there in Michigan. Is Trump getting support from unionized workers? Who is really his audience?
The impression I have is that his real base is among small white business owners. I think that's the economic base, the one that feels really squeezed by the globalized economy and the shrinkage of a base of their businesses. So I think that they're feeling the squeeze. They're his base, and I think that he's probably appealing to some echelons of white workers, especially probably in non-union plants. But I think that he's tapping into the insecurities that strata of white residents in Michigan are feeling.
How much of this embrace of leaders like Trump, I'm going to go to you, Jeff, is really a reflection of the failure of President Obama's policies, especially in the auto industry?
Well, I think it's the failure of Democratic and Republican policies of the last 30 years or so. And that is, especially on trade, where Trump is right. We've had this series of trade deals that were really made to help American manufacturers manufacture overseas and bring the products back to sell here. And it was the Clintons and with NAFTA that started this thing. And people were told that, well, free trade was going to bring prosperity and everyone would have a better job. And it just hasn't worked out like that. We've lost millions of jobs because of these trade deals to Mexico, China, and other countries. And finally, people are, getting sick of it. Remember back in 2008, both Hillary and Obama said they would renegotiate NAFTA. Well, Hillary became Secretary of State, Obama became president, and they just abandoned that promise. So there's a lot of anger and a lot of feeling that Washington has just been selling workers down the river.
Frank, I'm going to ask you the same question. Did President Obama sell workers down the river when he made the deal with the auto industry in Detroit?
Well, I think I want to address the question about Trump, and that is that he's engaging in the most really unbelievable demagoguery imaginable. I recall back in August that he stated that he would see to it that factories would leave the state of Michigan, not to go to Mexico, but to go to other parts of the U.S. and then be willing to bring them back to the Midwest and bring them back to places like the Detroit region, and that workers would be happy to accept a third of the wages. So that's what he's got in mind, and it's really demagoguery that he's talking about, his concerns about work going to Mexico. He has no concern about, certainly around the minimum wage. He's made it very clear that what he sees is a workforce that's going to be working at $7.50 an hour, regardless of where people work. So to come back to the question about Obama, I think that it's very clear that the financial crisis was used as a way of restructuring the General Motors Corporation, wiping out its liabilities prior to 2009, including, by the way, the liabilities of a polluted river in Flint, and really shaved the strength of the UAW by providing for a no-strike pledge for 4 years, et cetera. So I think that while they rescued the auto industry, it also restructured it and used the crisis as a way to do that, as the leverage point.
The counter would be that the deal was pretty good for the companies. Absolutely, it kept them solvent, but it also meant that people had jobs at the end. And more importantly, this made American workers more competitive by cutting wages, I believe, right, almost in half, Frank, there for starting employees. So what do you make of that argument?
Well, the restructuring was pegged to, we have to be like the non-union workers in the South. And that was the framework for the bankruptcy. For years, the UAW was pledging to bring the Southern workers up to union scale. And having failed at that, the bankruptcy tipped the scale and went the other direction and said, oh no, the new standard will be the non-union plants in the South. So yeah, people are working, certainly not in the numbers that we once had in the auto industry. My plant is 10% the size of what it used to be when I was representing workers there. So the work life, yeah, there are jobs, but they're certainly not what they once were, and that's going to continue with more free trade agreements. If the TPP is passed in the Congress, you can see a competition now going on not only with China but with Vietnam and so on.
Jeff, you mentioned people's anger and that sort of being part of Trump's appeal, but how do people not think that people in Mexico or Vietnam are taking their jobs? And with that being said, what is actually a more viable solution or more productive framework for workers to think about these types of issues when it comes to advocating for getting higher wages and jobs to stay in the United States?
Yeah, I think the answer is that you need politicians to stand up and people to stand up and say, the enemy here is not the Mexican worker. The enemy is the U.S. and Mexican elites, the corporate elites who arranged this deal in NAFTA so that Mexican workers could remain at low wages while producing goods that Americans used to make at high wages. The problem here is not that there's jobs going to Mexico. If it was an economic policy that cared about people on both sides of the border, we would have Mexican wages rising like crazy. And the fact is that they're not. The whole point here is that, yeah, Mexico can have an auto industry, we can have an auto industry, but it only makes sense if wages on both sides are rising. What's happened is that the NAFTA deal ended up with wages in America being driven down to Mexican levels. And that's what's driving people crazy. You have to understand that if the Mexican auto industry was so prosperous and making people so rich in Mexico, there wouldn't be these waves and waves and waves of undocumented migration to the United States.
All right, Jeff Foe, as well as Frank Hammer, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on the Real News Network.
Let us start our class with a prayer.
In the name of the African ancestors who began the march of humankind in the womb of Mother Africa, we ask these ancestors to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. In the name of the African ancestors who began the march of humankind in the womb of Mother Africa and marched down the Nile, laying the foundations for human civilization and culture, we ask these Africans to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. In the name of these African ancestors who built their pyramids and their temples to their God concepts, to their principles, and to their moral values, who left us a legacy of architectural and monumental building unparalleled in the history of the world, we ask these ancestors who built the pyramids, who built the temples, to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. We ask these African ancestors who took this African culture and extended it throughout Africa, building the stone cities of Zimbabwe, building the empires of the Sudan, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, building the Swahili city-states along the east coast of Africa, and in Christian Africa asking King Lalibela and giving him the courage to build the 12 churches of Lalibela from the ground down, monuments to the world. We ask these Africans who spread this culture to the Dogo and to the Akan and to the Yoruba and to the Bankango and to the Zulu. We ask these Africans to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. In the name of the Africans who opened up Africa, opened up the Nile Valley to other cultures and other peoples, and they came in and nurtured themselves on the African greatness. First coming in early with the ancient Hebrews, and they synthesized this culture and produced Judaism. Later coming in were the Christians, and they synthesized this culture and produced Christianity. Coming in were also the Greeks, who took the African culture, synthesized it, and produced Greek civilization. And then later, the Prophet Muhammad, and with the Arabs coming into the Nile Valley, they synthesized the culture and produced Islam. We ask these African ancestors, who as part of their legacy laid the foundations for Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Greek civilization, to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. We ask those African ancestors pulled out of Africa, taken to the hells of North America, South America, the Caribbean, maintaining the spirit of African humanity in their hearts and in their minds, and who left us this enormous legacy of struggle. We ask those Africans who resisted enslavement in the villages of Africa, who resisted enslavement in the shores of Africa, who resisted enslavement in those forts and dungeons, who resisted enslavement in the holds of those ships, who resisted enslavement when they arrived on these shores in the New World. We ask these Africans who ran into the highlands of northeast Brazil and established for 100 years the first free republic in the Americas, the Republic of Palmares, and their last great leader, Zumbi, who speared and sacrificed. We ask these Africans who replicated the Brazilian experience and went into the highlands of Jamaica and became the maroon-free communities. We ask these Africans who went into the backwoods of the Guyanas and Suriname and created free republic of the Suramaka and the Ajuka. We ask these Africans who went into the backwoods of Georgia and the swamps of Florida and moved with the Seminole Indians and resisted oppression. We ask these Africans who left us a legacy of struggle and resistance, the likes of which no one in the world has, to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future. We ask these Africans who created and laid for us a foundation of struggle and resistance that was passed on generation after generation, that was passed on to Harriet Tubman, who fought her way out of enslavement and became a symbol of freedom for all of us. Similarly, Frederick Douglass and hundreds of thousands of others fought their way out of enslavement. We ask those Africans who went with Boukman Dessalines to create the greatest revolutionary experience in the history of the world, the Haitian Revolution, leaving us a legacy, the likes of which no one else has had. We ask these Africans to be with us, to strengthen us, and give us a vision for the future.
Speak truth to the people. To identify the enemy is to free the mind. Free the mind of the people. Speak to the mind of the people. Speak truth.
Welcome to the space. Welcome. It is a choice you made, and we are cognizant, we are aware of that, and welcome you to this space. This is an African-centered space, a Pan-African place. In this space, we do not apologize for being who we are. We do not regret who we are, and we do not wish to be anybody else but who we are. In this space, we rightfully claim what we are. In this space, we give honor and respect to our ancestors, those who have paved the way for us to follow, those upon whose shoulders we stand. In this space, we honor our obligation, our moral obligation to remember. So thank you so much for joining us in this space. In this space, we do understand that we are Africans, not because we were born in Africa. We are Africans because Africa was born in us. We are aware of what that means, and so the reclamation process for us includes reclaiming our God, include reclaiming our culture, our religion, our spirituality, our ancestors, our poetry, our science. The reclamation process for us includes reclaiming, first and foremost, our identity. And the process of reclaiming our identity includes further that reclamation of our God, that reclamation of our ancestors, that reclamation of our writings, including, of course, when I talk about our writings, including, of course, our biblical writings. And they have become biblical, so we are referring to them as that. So we're talking about writings taken from the papyrus, writings taken from the walls of the tombs and the temples of the homes of our ancestors. So in this space, we understand what it means to be African. To be African or not to be, I think, is a question as we look forward to the rest of the year. We've framed that question at the beginning of the year, and it really does make sense to me. To be African or not to be is a question I think that we have to face. And then to understand, even in facing that question, to ask ourselves, what does it mean to be African? Mama Marimba, Annie, and others have edited a book in which this question was posed and answered from many different angles. What does it mean to be an African woman? What does it mean to you to be an African woman? What does it mean to be an African man? And then further, what does it mean to be an African mother? What does it mean to be an African father? We might have to ask ourselves these questions and answer them. What does it mean to be an African daughter? What does it mean to be an African son, an African uncle, an African brother? What does it mean to be African? And then to say to ourselves, to be African or not to be. Because that, for us who are indeed Africans, has to be a choice at some time. We have been so brainwashed, so hijacked, so co-opted. Our people have lost the sense of who we were, who we are, and who we are to be. We're so far gone on this trajectory that for many of us, choices have already been made to be other than ourselves, to be other than who we are. And so the question then becomes, to be or not to be African or not to be. Lots happening around us. Jamaicans are so caught up in the proceedings surrounding the American elections that you think it's a Jamaican election. So many were up last night watching the caucuses, checking to see where Donald Trump is or not is, choosing their own candidates in this race, as if. But more than ever, more so than ever, even when President Barack Obama was gunning for the White House, I think even then compared to now, the meaning to us as African people everywhere is of more significance. Not because a black man is running, because we don't have one right now, the last one dropped out, but because the front runner in the Republican Party is the embodiment of that which we always knew was the heart and soul of Western imperialism. A phobia of everything that is other than the white male European, and secondly, the white male, the white female. And by European, you know, we're talking about even the Americans. So that Donald Trump, who is a front runner in the United States, represents everything that our ancestors faced physically in terms of our enslavement. Here is the embodiment of neo-Nazism. Here's the embodiment of racism. Here's the embodiment of Islamophobia. Here is the embodiment of anti-every single race apart from the white race. And we see that being played out publicly on the most public of stages in the United States of America, and being played out in such a way that it makes you wonder. Well, I don't know if it really makes you wonder, but it does. It gives a sense of bewilderment, really. When you see the media coverage of this and the way the media laps this up by asking half-dead questions about this, but the extent to which this embodiment of everything that our ancestors faced negatively has become the forerunner in a race for the presidency of the White House. That is interesting. And that is not to say that there's any difference in the others, really, but just that here we have one that is finally outspoken, that is finally saying what everybody else, or majority of white supremacy and white privilege think. So we'll watch this. It's interesting. We'll continue to watch what's unfolding there. For those of you who went to sleep and haven't had a chance to pick up on it yet, Donald Trump is still the forerunner. Is still there, leading the race for the Republican nomination. All right, so that's happening there in the U.S. In Benin, there's an election on the way. Polls have opened in Benin, and there are 33 candidates fighting to become president in Benin. In the Sudan, we understand that the opposition leader Turabi has died. The Islamist politician Hassan Turabi, Hassan al-Turabi, he has died. And right here in Jamaica, a new prime minister has been sworn in. And we expect that the cabinet will be sworn in on Monday. At least we have from the office of the Prime Minister a media advisory on the swearing in of cabinet ministers on Monday, March 7 at 2 p.m. The venue, of course, is King's House. So I suppose we can end the speculation. right here in Jamaica in the Grill. The Stepping High Ganja Festival is still on in the Grill. So that's something to pay attention to also. It ends today, I think. I want to say a very special morning to my brother Jerry Small, Bongo Jerry. We're hearing about the challenges that you're facing as a broadcast journalist, and we're watching that. We also have been trying to get you on the phone, but we will do that. We know we'll catch up with you sooner or later. But our solidarity, our support, with you, my brother, it's always an uphill struggle, and that's what it is. When you're in a space where you speak truth to power, always an uphill struggle. But we're confident in this one thing, that when you are committed to doing that which is right, the power of righteousness will not betray you. The words of Mumia Abu Jamal. But our solidarity in this space with you, even as we watch what is unfolding in your workspace. All right, we're not saying much because we haven't heard from Jerry himself, but we do know that there are some challenges, and I know that we've been getting some calls on that too. The vision, our vision, inside of the Africa Forum is to reunite the African family for development, and our mission includes blazing new paths towards Africa's rendezvous with destiny, bearing witness, demanding change, crafting an African-centered agenda for change and development. All the while, we're honoring our moral obligation to remember.
Out of the drum. The dance of the elder. Everybody dance. Respect yourself. The dance of the elder. Everybody dance. Respect yourself. Out of the drum, we come. As a people here, as a people, the dance of the elder. Everybody dance. Respect yourself. The dance drum we come. Out of the drum. Out of the drum we come. Yeah. Out of the drum. Yeah. That's of the elder. Everybody dance. Respect yourself. Everybody dance. Respect yourself.
Hide nothing from the masses of the people. Tell no lies. Expose lies whenever they are told. Mask no difficulties, mistakes, failures. Claim no easy victory.
Oh, excellent is thy name, thou hast set thy glory above the heavens. For out of the mouths of babes and sucklings art thou adding strength to still enemies and the avenger. With thy new name, O Jah Rastafari.
You're inside of the Africa Forum running African. In this segment of the program, we rememory, we recall, we honor our moral obligation to remember. And not just to say never again, but to say there must be justice and there must be reparations. Demanding that of a stage as we go to a very special guest in the studio. From the Coral Gardens Benevolent Society. Joining me in the studio, the chair of the Coral Gardens Benevolent Society, my brother Ika is here. Treasurer of the Coral Gardens Benevolent Society, Bongo Brown. Our Rastafarian elder Buzz Rock Patrick Armstrong joins us in the studio. Coral Gardens, 1963, Thursday, Friday, April 11 and 12. We know it in Jamaica and across the world as Holy Thursday and Good Friday. Here in Jamaica, it has a whole new meaning. Greetings, my brethren. Greetings. Thanks so much for coming. I know we're going to talk about Coral Gardens, but I want to talk a little bit, Ika, about the Benevolent Society first of all, because here is moving from an unofficial organization into something that is more structured.
Yes.
Tell us about the Benevolent Society.
Well, basically, the Benevolent Society, as you say, has moved from out of a committee situation into a more structured organization with the main view of making sure that there is accountability and transparency within its operation towards the upliftment and development of community works, because that was one aspect that the feedback from the community members was lacking in the original format. It was also decided to go that way based on the fact that we were kind of tired of doing some programs or trying to raise funds in a certain way that gave us just minimal substance. So we decided if we go that way, we could be able to do some large project and could access large amount of funds so we can substantially assist the elders same way, you know. And at the same time, it is a organizational work in progress where we continue to assist the elders with medical assistance, food when possible same way, and in whatever way we can in terms of the needs of the elders, we try to do that same way. We, repair their house or repair something.
So that the Benevolent Society also takes on a broader mandate.
Yes,
in terms of elders and in terms of social issues within the Rastafari community.
Exactly, than previously the committee before, because right now we are active like throughout the year instead of just commemoration time. This time of the year, usually the committee would be meeting and all of that, but now we are fully active straight through the year. We are involved in trying to assist the youth. We have a collaboration with the University at the West Indies Western Campus, same way, where workshops that is going on that campus, we have access to that, and there's a scholarship program we have in place with them also, same way,
Yeah.
So it's a broader objective, really.
Yeah, it sounds good. It sounds good, and I must commend you and the team for taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
Needed to have done that. And you talked about funding, and I suppose Bongo Brown, Treasurer, will take this, but you talk about funding and how that has been a challenge over the years. Bongo Brown, what has changed, and what do you expect to change now with the Benevolent Society?
Well, as you know, there's a lot of funds. There's a lot of funds out there, and if we can tap into these funds, it will be able to help the Benevolent Society, and we can be able to help the elders more in terms of, because the elders, they are getting older now, they need medical attention, and one of the main important things that we need a elders care home for them, because we have seen a lot of things, a lot of elders go down and die because them don't get any help even from them peers. Them children don't look after them. So our main focus right now was to see if we can tap into some area where we can get funds to build a health center for the elders. Because
when you say a health center, what do you mean?
Golden age home situation.
An elders care home.
Yes.
In the sense, because without them, there couldn't be us. And we have to look and know within ourselves that we are getting older now. So we have to set up things that it can even benefit us when we reach certain age as well.
And I think this is the kind of thinking that as a people, African people, that we're supposed to be having. How we take care of the young and how we take care of the elderly.
Definitely.
How we school with children, whether we send them back into the same system.
Definitely.
To be brainwashed, and then how we take care of our elders, as they go through the rites of passage.
And that is a thing that is lacking within the Rastafari community, the institutions, the different institutions that can bring out a kind of philosophy and the kind of teaching that we want to inculcate in our youth. The golden age home situation is a situation where you find that it is difficult for us to even address the needs of most of the elders based upon the fact that they are spread wide. They are spread out all over in the western area there, So if we can centralize them in one location, because there are those who would gladly go to a home and get that kind of assistance.
And would this be a care situation for just the those who were survivors of the Coral Guard massacre. You know, me and talk about that.
No, we're spreading it wider.
Or within the Rastafari.
We're spreading it wider.
Within the Rastafari community. Yeah. The mandate is for the benefit of the elders, basically, but the victims first, are the survivors first.
That's what I'm laughing for.
We have to look out for the victims first.
Are the survivors.
Survivors.
All right, when I come back, because I'm say survivors.
Survivors.
We are the survivors.
Yes.
Of many different levels.
Yes.
So, all right. So, congratulations on that. But so this is a plan. This is the immediate plan.
This is immediate
to build a care home.
Yes.
For the elders.
Yes. One of the immediate plan, because we are also trying to being Rastafari, we don't like big. Definitely not like big. So we are trying to see how we can come up with a project where it can be a sustainable, benevolent society still, So we're looking into that same way. We are collaborating with the university in writing proposal towards whether farming or some other business entity, and towards how we can get that golden home structure in place same way,
It seems to me also that you have can also talk with the group that was here before, the think tank. With the Horton, because I think that's what they're looking at also in terms of sustainable development, and they started in St. Thomas. They're starting in St. Thomas in terms of sustainable development. Just throwing that out there. All right, but I feel with just starting off, and already my heart is really warming, because we have had conversations like these forever, but here for maybe the first time we're having some concrete plans within a concrete structure.
That's not the way. That's the way to go now.
Yes.
We have to set up structure in order to take care of our elders, because, like I said, we are getting old too. So once the structure is there, then the ones behind us, our kids, can come and see a pathway to go. Because one of the things about it, is that within the Rasta movements, we need the help of the kids. And the kids, they need a foresight. They need to see a direction where we are taking them. So it is important to have this structure to take care of the elders.
Yes. All right. So we also have with us Bosrock Rastafarian elder Patrick Armstrong.
Yes,
greetings, elder. You're a survivor?
Yes, I'm a survivor.
Of Coral Gardens, the Coral Gardens massacre. I don't think that you've ever spoken to you before.
No, I had you meet, but not on this. Over when we go in places.
Yes. No, it's true, yes.
Yeah, Bedwood River, they go jump in there.
You remember?
Yeah, Chediga Park.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, and we talk too.
Yes.
And enough things, yes.
And right here on RFM too.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
So, first time we actually have a conversation though about what you survived.
Yeah.
And we must say to you, more power to have survived that time till this time.
Yes.
Give us a little background of that. I mean, where were you in 1963?
I was in Montego Bay at the time. Right, working by building pots and making some fire mattresses down by the North Gully. That's where I used to work,
Yes.
But it was a man by the name of Prince Brown. By the same Brown, but not this Brown. Prince Brown, right?
Not Bongo Brown.
No, not Bongo Brown. Prince Brown. Yes. So, when it happened in the morning, I get up myself and I say, well, can't take it. I was just 26 years old at that time. And I couldn't take it. That's why I said, I flee to the hills. So I started treading on the train line until I reached...
That was Holy Thursday or Good Friday?
Good Friday morning. Good Friday.
Bad Friday.
Yeah. And we tread on the train line straight to Pitford. But it was the water course, the course of the river, going that side to get away from them. So I wasn't really beaten up, but I hear everything that was going on. Because in the nights, we've been to the streets, but in the day we have to go in the hills. Right? And I get to the knowledge of what? I get a few licks, yes, but never nothing detrimental to her.
But a few licks is detrimental enough, And a man not supposed to be taking no licks for just because of your faith, just because of your liberty.
You get beaten about.
Thank you, Bongo Boy.
So well after.
So who administered those few legs?
Well, it was the police force, you know. Because when them saw me running down by Quick Street, there's across the Quick Street to come to Hart Street in that area there, so they see me running to go across to the railway, through gravel lane going down that these little lane there, to go down the railway there, so.
These lane.
Right, Napoleon, that was Mr. Vernon's son, said to me, say, Rasta, you have to run, you know, because them chipping Rasta now, you know. So I said, well, all right, I'm going to take the train line. And I start and so till me reach at a place by the name of Dam Road, up by John's Hall. Well, to reach up there, I stop because I have some aunt and uncle's family live in that area. So they know me at that. So through that, they never really try to tie me and carry me back to the police. You see what I mean? So.
And that's what they were doing, tying people and taking them.
Yeah.
And when I said they, you mean community people?
Yeah, community people. Community, not police, just community people. And through my family, they have houses. So people come and they say, well, when are your family up in the Ilias Rasta, you know, so you have to feed them, you know. So I used to go there and get me food and clothes. I was there for 3 years. Up in the hills, right before I come back out 1966. I leave from up there and go back to Kingston. But anyway, I never get any beat, but I have friends, a lot of brethren, getting a lot of whipping. Right? Some of them, they tie them with a rope and draw them on the road. But I weren't there to see that, but people described,
afterwards, and
people described and said, boy, the way we see them do Rasta yesterday, the way we see them do Rasta yesterday, oh, you don't go downtown, don't go there, don't go that. And then so it got through till 1966, now when I leave there and come out to meet His Imperial Majesty in Kingston.
In April.
Yeah.
So
that is 3 years after.
You're inside of the Africa Forum. It is Running African, and once again, as usual at this time of the year, we remember. For a moment we pause, even though this is always in our memory, because as Professor Ivan van Sertima says, whether something happened 10,000 years ago, 10 years ago, or 10 minutes or 10 seconds ago, it occupies the very same space in your memory. It occupies the very same space, so that when you recall and you remember the hurt of our ancestors, we can feel. For those who experience it, the very same hurt you can feel. And we're talking about the massacre at Coral Gardens. Ika, help us to put this in perspective. 1963, Holy Thursday.
Yes. Holy Thursday was a situation where the police came. It started before that, as we know, with Franklin, Rudolph Franklin.
Just put all of it in perspective before Holy Thursday.
Yes, Rudolph Franklin was this brethren Rastafari, Professor Rastafari. As you know, in those days, some of the a lot of the persons never have locks and all of that still. But he was farming on a piece of land adjoining to the Rosal estate, and that's the capital estate. Those were the what you call the overseers, or the
bastions of enslavement and colonialism in Jamaica. Yes.
And they wanted all the land, as you know. So it was said that he was encroaching on the property, doing his farming. We get to understand that even that piece of land that he was farming, same was even given to him by his father also, same way. But however, they say he was encroaching, and they came up there and tried to get him off that property. And he didn't leave. They came back and they keep coming back, and in one of the confrontation when they come back, he had his machete in his hand, and they came and say he must drop his machete and all of that, and he never drop it. But some altercation take place between them and him, and he got shot in his stomach and was left there to die, and
when you said them, who
the police, the overseer came with the police, the overseer, which was Mr. Fowler by name. That was the main person that was always aggravating him, and came on the property, and the police, because sometimes when they come to the raid and took away his crop same way, so they always trouble him in that way. But this time now, he got shot in that altercation there, and he went to hospital. They left him there to die, but when they see that he wasn't dead still, they took him up and carried him to hospital. The doctor worked on him and let him know that the whole of his bowels internally was gone. So some plastic situation had to be inserted, and he was told that anytime that plastic began to rotten, that he's certainly going to die, So after he left hospital, they took him. He even spent some time in prison same way, with all the hurt and all of that. So it seems like during his prison sentence, he premeditated revenge, came out back at some brethren because he was a very influential person within his community same way. So he was able to galvanize some support with some other members of the community, and knowing how the oppressors always victimize the citizen, he got that support, and they made spears and all of those things and some weapons, and went down to the gas station in Rosal there, I am sure there, Rosal there, and some confrontation again took place there, where that they burnt down the gas station, and I think it's a tourist or somebody was passed by, a white person got killed during that altercation same way. So they call in the police force and they ran to the hills, and that's where the battle started, still with a confrontation with them.
And what must be understood about this is a situation involving one man and probably a small
gathering of people around three, four other persons.
Right.
Not the entire Rastafari community,
Yes, and it's out of that, the response to the burning down of a gas station by these people,
and the killing of the
right.
Yes.
The response of the state to that, is where we know this leads to what we call Bad Friday,
yes.
Bongo Bond, that leads to what we are talking about now in terms of the massacre.
Yes.
Of Rastafari.
Yes. Because not because of the act of few, they are going to destroy the whole community. Mm-hmm. And one must realize that Rastafari then, we were carrying, I should say we. Because I was in spirit.
Yes. We are our ancestors.
The same message of our ancestors before us. Because when them came here, they were Africans. And they did not want to stay here. So the Rastaman was still carrying that message. And apparently the colonial master don't want to hear it. And it was worse when them fly the ice green and gold flags, knowing that we were under British ruling at that time. And at the same time,
and worse even that you saw God
in a black face.
Your own lenses.
A black face.
Yes. How dare you? How dare Rastafari?
Yes, they use that situation to justify brutalizing Rasta in a whole scale way, because we must remember the history didn't start just from the brutalization and victimization, didn't start just from the Caribbean situation, but there's a whole history of Bakawal, Pinnacle. So the whole philosophy that Rastafari brought to the atmosphere and the nation was kind of non-progressive to them, to the colonial master, back to Africa.
And Elder Boswak, you must have seen a lot of this before. How Rastafari was treated even before 63.
Yeah. Even Howell up at Howell. Up at Howell up at Pinnacle. Right? That atrocity, I were a youth, but I couldn't go there and say to Brother Howell, say, we got come over here this week, and he say, yes, come man, because something is here for us to do.
Yes.
At all times. Right? Then Brother Redwood, we have a brother named Brother Redwood. Right? That was there with Brother Howell. Right? After a while, he leave and go to Darlistan in Westmoreland, and I want to hear a thing from him again. Right? If he died or he's still alive, I don't know. Right? Because when I go back to Spanish Town and ask Howie about that man, Howie say he don't see him from he leave Pellicle.
If anybody know Brother Redwood, if he's, around still.
Yeah, Brother Redwood. He used to be with Howie Lear, right?
Yes.
And he does have a locks, That man don't carry a locks, but he's a Rastafarian, true-hearted, right? And that's why Brother Oil everybody him second coming through, right, to Chediga Park, and then we leave from Chediga Park now, and we go back down to Prince Emmanuel, just the same way. Mr. Sierra come and mash it down again. We have to move on down the Foreshore Road, down up by where you see them have the coffee factory there now. Yes, Marcus Garvey Drive.
So that it is a story of persecution, of oppression,
and Rastafari.
of the state against Rastafari.
Yes.
In Jamaica.
Sister,
a story.
Kabo, it's not only the state, I would even add the citizenry of the country in their brainwash mentality.
To this day.
Yes.
Up to now. Because if you go in some district right now as a Rastafarian, they try to either carry down a crowd on you too, that you get up raid. Alright, when you come as a Rastafarian in my time, and you say Rasta, the only place you can build is Bellevue.
Because this is how they see you. You're mad.
Good. Even the artists that you see singing right now, and you come up playing a trombone good or playing a guitar good, doing something good in music, they send it to Bellevue, like Danger Man. I was there to see all those atrocities.
And we come up to experience not necessarily brutal lick and kick, but discrimination in a serious way that could
institutionalized racism and classism and discrimination against Rastafarian. All right, so that the citizenry and the state, after the burning down of a gas station by a few, not connected to the wider community in any serious way, not elders in the community, not leaders in the community, but identified as Rastafari, that a response to this by the then government, which was led by someone who has been made a national hero in Jamaica now, Bustamante.
Why he's a hero?
Excuse me, they call it Rasta Rebellion.
Yeah.
That's how them brand it, Rasta Rebellion. There was no Rasta Rebellion.
Like how they have the rebellion
in the paper.
Yeah, they put it in.
There was no Rasta Rebellion.
No Rasta Rebellion.
But that was just an excuse.
That was an excuse.
Yeah.
To come at the state. To come at the entire community.
Yes.
So for those persons, because we are remembering, and we need to do that, and we need to retell this story so that our children will be able to tell that story. Until there is justice.
And even after justice.
We must not forget. We must not forget. So that in a nutshell, then, if we can, tell us what happened then in terms of when the state now turned against Rastafari in response to the action of a few.
Well, they went out in force, calling the army. And they start to gather up everybody that they saw with a beard or look like Rasta or express that kind of a philosophy, and it's just beating licks and kicks and lock up and courthouse and all of that thing, and discrimination take place. You have seen some of the elders that has been through the direct atrocity, confrontation with it, and they'll tell you how much beating and how much licks and the devastation that they went through, even in court. And people plan things on them just to get rid of them. We were coming with even Buzzrock, and he was telling me of this citizen, of this well-known person in the Montego Bay community who load up in truck load up in everywhere and go and see we are Rasta. Him load them in a truck.
Mr. Road, man. Mr. Road, carry them.
Yes.
Mr. Road from Flower Hill.
And carry go where?
Carry go to 14 Barley Street.
Prison.
I was 5 years old at that time, and my brother is a soldier in the reserve army, and he was to report to work because at that time you must arms up all bearded man. Not just the lax, all bearded man. Whether they're Rasta, yes or no. Along with the police and say, what is wrong with this?
Yes.
Going to go around this, go pick up a one day. And there was no excuse as to whether they are Rasta or not. Once you have beard, 14 Barney Street.
This is an atrocity that has happened in Jamaica that there needs to be some cleansing for spiritual cleansing. Spiritual cleansing. Yeah. Because this was not just the government. This was just not the state.
No.
This was, as you say, Aika, this is a citizenry.
Yes.
These are people who turn against their brothers, who turn against their sisters, who turn against your own
people.
Mm-hmm. And it exists up to today.
I know it does.
It's not bad as those days.
Yes.
But I remember when I was growing up as a little youth, when I accept Rastafari, my parents, I can't stay in the house, you know. And I know kids that grow with me, them have to stop go school. Because I was against the school rule for you to grow locks.
Yes.
Or even talk about Rastafari.
But even today, as you said, even today, if you look in many homes across Jamaica, if there's one out of that home who say Rastafari, you're going to have to go.
Yes.
Many homes.
Yes.
More so than not.
I have sisters and brothers right now where I can't step in them house. If I go in them house, everybody run and said, Rasta come in the house. Look about. Say Rasta come to my house.
Oh. But that show you...
Them are doctors and lawyers at the Corner Regional Hospital.
It shows how dangerous white supremacy and
the bullies them.
No, don't call any name. No, these are your family members. But,
yes.
but still, we have a responsibility not to slander. Right. So
even though it's true.
So we apologize for that. Yeah. No, we have to do that.
Yes, but it shows how dangerous the white supremacy teaching is and how they had brainwashed I and I as Africans down here in the West, to the point where we wouldn't love our one another, we wouldn't love ourselves, you know. So to see this group of people, your own, family members, your own family, same way, we come at you that kind of a way just because of an idea or a thought or a way how you present yourself.
My brother, I can tell you this, nobody understands that statement more than me right now.
Yes.
I more than empathize. I can tell you that I understand that to the core. That you have to stand up with your own family who you love dearly, who accuse you of all kinds of wickedness, witchcraft and obeah and so on, because you reclaim your African identity. So I understand that, and it is a difficult place to be. So what has happened in terms of our white supremacy under the guise too of Christianity has torn apart the family in Jamaica. The family is being ripped apart, especially in cases where there's one or two who want to reclaim who decide to reclaim your African identity.
And
that is a sad situation. Sad situation.
That was a strategy, imposed by the slave masters, coming into this imperialist system, and from slavery days, that was a particular strategy that they had decided to use to break the African family apart, because they know to break that structure is to weaken your support system, So it was deliberate. It was deliberate to brainwash the people in such a way that they would turn
against themselves. That they turn against their families. That sisters turn against sisters. And brothers turn against brothers. This is what we are experiencing in Jamaica. And it's something I'm going to be forced to deal with in this space at another time, because we have to look at it. We have to take it out. And just call it what it is.
Yeah, definitely.
We have to call out our own family members to say, face this truth. So that what happened after the burning of a gas station by a few is that the Jamaicans, the community, and the state turned against Rastafari. And you talk about how Rastafari was rounded up in trucks with ropes, lassoed like animals, drag. Bustamante was in all of that as a prime minister.
Centerpiece.
Talk about his role.
His brother.
His role to our understanding, is that he flew down from Kingston, well armed with his gun and thing, and came down and make sure that
big iron on his hip.
Big iron on his hip, man, ready to sling. This now gave him the opportunity to silence this subversive force, as they would call it. That is,
and this is the Prime Minister we're talking
this
about.
is the Prime Minister dealing with his own people. Same way.
Just get independent as well.
Yes,
just independent.
So he came down and he made a famous statement that it is always on the lips of all Rastafarians, basically, and it's the fact that he said if the jails can hold the amount of Rastas and person they gathering up, then Borg, which is a cemetery, should hold them, So that was a statement that he made.
So there was a plan. The plan was genocide.
Yes,
genocide.
Yes. They tried it with Pinnacle and they tried it at Bakawal in a segmented way, But this uprising, or this I wouldn't say uprising, this situation with these brethren confronting their dissatisfaction kind of set the stage where they saw in their eyes that this is an opportunity now where we can attack the whole community. So they use that as the pretext, same way, to try to silence the Rastafari movement.
By brutalizing the individuals, not understanding that they could not kill an ideology, they could not kill an idea, they could not kill the spirit.
Yes.
It's inborn.
And it rise up more, and somehow that force has risen with more vigor
as a global force
right now.
As a global force, and globally, for those who are listening to us on the internet, globally, you see Rastafari, and some of you have embraced Rastafari, not understanding that even today, with the birthplace of Rastafari, that there is persecution of Rastafari just the same.
Discrimination.
Institutionalized discrimination against Rastafari just the same. So that, even as we look forward, this is the 53rd year.
Yes.
And throughout all that time, some Rastafari, in terms of the period, were taken to court. Some were given kangaroo courts. And thrown back in jail and so on. Some were shaved with all kinds of implements. Some were beaten. You had water hoses turned on by many. So it was a period of great atrocities against a group of people.
Yes.
And the jailhouse could not hold them all.
Yes.
And a lot of them get dead through the struggle too.
Yes.
And to think coming up, like you say, even up to today, there is semblance still of discrimination and trying to hold back Rastafari. Because my experience, even as a youth as Rastafari, one of the biggest thing in terms of against the state was being kicked out of school same way. And ironically, we were protesting that they should run away homosexuals from out of the school instead of Rastafari. And we end up feeling the blunt expulsion and all of that still, So the youth were conscious in even coming up. The youth were conscious of what Rastafari bring to their psyche and bring to their energy and bring within their space in identifying themselves closer to their roots, and the system couldn't take that.
When we lose our African connection, we lose our world connection. When we disconnect ourselves from Africa, we cease to be a world people. Without the African connection, we are a disjointed people begging for the entry into somebody else's house.
All right, you're inside of the African Connection. It is the Africa Forum, Running African, and we're talking about a period in Jamaica's history against the heart and soul of Jamaica. What has made Jamaica great? Rastafari, a period that has not yet been acknowledged by the state. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. I would say so, definitely, And that is what we are here agitating for also, for a closure to that kind of a hurt, compensation for the victims and the community, or the survivors and the community. We are here still agitating for that after 53 years,
Boswak, our elder, who is in the studio with us, is a survivor. We've had many throughout the years, many throughout the years, survivors. Some who were here last year, who are not here this year because they're dead.
Definitely.
Mama Enid is one such person.
Definitely.
And many have died throughout the years. The state, as a formal organization, as a state, has not yet formally acknowledged the atrocities of Coral Gardens, much less to even say sorry. They have not said it happened.
No.
Not formally.
Not
individually outside, but
Yes,
not formally.
Yes. And that is what we require, really, that the state do apologize to the Rastafari
But if they haven't even acknowledged that it happened.
Right. Well, they will have to confront that now, because right now the public defender has put out a report that it happened. Has done an investigation.
And let us talk about that now, because in the last few minutes that we have, and we're going to talk some more about it next week.
Yes.
But the public defender, after years of investigation, finally published a report, handed it to Parliament. There's been a change of government in between, but good thing too, because this is the right government.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Maybe it's a divine entity.
You know? Divine intervention.
What Mr. Olis, as a younger person, can acknowledge this, because I know he must learn of it in school based on how the education system is going now.
Well,
at his age,
he
should
not in school.
Well, he talks about Buster Manti Rasta. And I don't think there's any such thing as a Buster Manti Rasta.
No,
you know? A JLP Rasta, but not a Buster Manti Rasta.
We hope they'll take the opportunity to know that it was in their term or their party's governance. That they'll take the opportunity now that the Parliament has a report on the matter to apologize and compensate. Because apology to is just the first step, you know.
And the public defender has found that this was an injustice to Rastafari.
Definitely. You know,
and has made some certain suggestions, which we'll talk about when you come back next week.
Yes.
But this is now with the Parliament, and we hope that, you know, soon and very soon, not too long, that this will be brought to the fore to Parliament for discussion. What is the plan of the Coral Garden Benevolent Society regarding this report, and in terms of how you move forward?
Well, come the commemoration time, we'll be having a symposium that we're going to draw ideas and thoughts from as to how to formulate the way forward, same way still. But we are closely watching the process, knowing that if it takes demonstration, agitation, writing letter, we'll be on it same way, just like how we were on it for the public defender, you know. But we haven't put forward a concrete step-by-step approach as yet still. We know that we have to know that it's in Parliament, liaison more with legal personnel, you know.
Well, we're waiting to see who the Minister of Justice will be.
Yes.
And we're also waiting to see who the Minister of Culture will be.
Security.
And national security and so on, because these are the people who have a responsibility to ensure now that this is dealt with urgently.
Yeah, we asked even the Minister of Culture
we will know by tomorrow.
We asked him, the Minister of Culture, this year for sponsorship for the commemoration, knowing it's a annual thing.
You got it?
Got it.
You're not gonna get it. Because look here.
we're waiting on it, you know.
No, you can't turn the wait.
But Sister Andrea, before we even leave I just want at this point in time, really, as it strike my mind, for acknowledge the transition of a dear brethren and beloved one, and a strong force within foundation member within the Benevolent Society and the Rastafari community in the western area, which is Jati Kleincar, that has passed off almost a week now still. Sadly missed.
This is the flag
brethren, may I tell you, man.
The flag
man.
Jati, you know,
very condolences to his family,
Yeah, condolences, you know, but we miss him already. You know,
I can just imagine. Yes.
Is Jati like now in these times and around? His two hands are like 10 hands for us, you know.
Yes.
He's a Mr. Fix It.
It's true. And him not see me, not give me a flag, you know.
You see.
And every time him ask him see me, so where the flag will be to the last time.
Yeah, man. His transitional situation will be the 11th and the 12th Friday and Saturday coming same way at the Montego River Garden same way still. So Ras and brethren and sister who love the brethren, and even if you don't love him, but knowing that him is a worker within the community, can come out and pay them last respect still, you know.
All right. And then just to finally say now, as we wrap up this segment and look forward to the conversation next week again, there are plans now for for the actual the time, because not the actual date, because we know the date was in April, but because it was around the Western Imperialist Good Friday and Holy Thursday, that the commemoration, remembering that there are plans here in scheduled for Western Jamaica. Tell us about those plans so people can at least write them in them calendar and be prepared for them.
Okay, the plan is that on the 25th of March here, starting from around 10 o'clock, we'll fly the gates with a health fair. Then, like we said, the health fair is always something that we even do for the elders on the grounds with blood pressure, blood sugar, eye tests, this year we are trying to open it up like a wider to the patrons that they may pay a small fee to get some tests done, We were trying to get a mobile unit. Well, that didn't work out still, but we still is working on some nurses and doctors from the university.
The 25th of March.
25th of March in the morning.
It's still a caring for the elders,
Yes. So they can come in
and take them blood.
We bring them in, because we bring them in. We physically go for them at locations and bring them in. Because there's a lot of elders who are not as mobile, same way, So and that is how the golden age situation is so important, because.
And when you think even about transportation or two in terms of buses to make these kinds of runs.
Well, we normally do it ourselves.
I know, that's why I'm thinking, even wider. But so that, and then for family members who have who can make to transport their own family can also do that. And this is going to be where?
At Jared Park. Where they play football more time.
On March 25.
March 25.
At 10 a.m. Beginning at 10 a.m.
Yes. And then we
that's a health fair.
Yes. And one aspect of the commemoration this year that we are trying to push is the family fun day, which would be for the children fun day, where they'll be bounce about and tapal and trampoline.
What date is that?
The same day, on the same day. Yes. During the morning hours going into the evening,
Okay.
So, and there will be workshops in poetry, workshops in drumming, workshops in craft, bead stringing and all of that.
Okay.
So we encourage the family, not only the Rastafari family, but the whole community, African community families, to bring in them youth and come in and heal the wound and share and care with I and I same way still, So that aspect we push in this year same way. And then, of course, as usual, the banquet for the elders.
What date is that?
The same day. Everything is on the same day.
Everything is on the same day.
And the banquet will be like from around 4 o'clock. In the evening hours. We'll start the banquet where we see the elders, and
I keep asking what day. The 25th is Good Friday?
It's Bad Friday.
Bad Friday. Okay, all right. And I'm making a correction. So all of this is on Bad Friday.
Yes.
Right, so on the 25th of March.
Yes.
So you have the health fair.
Take care of the elders.
Yes.
And then in the same taking care of the elders, we have a kids fun day.
Exactly. And you have symposium. Right. And the banquet.
And after the banquet now, then we have a little celebration in terms of a cultural show.
All right. Okay.
But before that, still we have the victim, the survivors giving a one and compensate them. So my staff said it's victim thing, man. So
survivors, they will give their testimony.
They'll give their testimony of their experience during that time. But this year, being the 50th year of the Visitor His Majesty, we also want them to even share their experience of the Visitor His Majesty. I came through Montego Bay also, and some of them even left from Montego Bay and went to Kingston to even see this great man still, King of Kings, Lord of Lords,
And we heard our elder Buzzwag say this when him come down out of the mountains.
Yes. How you did see His Majesty, Yeah, man. And we hope to have somebody like maybe Jerry Small, I think he did commit himself still. I hope him still committed to do the observance. Tell we a history of that also. Before we go into the symposium. And this year also we're going to continue a thing that we started last year, which was giving certificate of recognition to the matriarchs and patriarchs still, who contribute so much to the upkeep and holding the culture together for I and I as youth can even carry forward this great struggle still, you know.
Yeah, the music of Rastafari is well known overseas.
I guess Brother Copeland did say he will be there too, you know.
That's Copeland Forbes?
Yes, and Bongo Herman.
Yes, because Copeland Forbes was a youth who was opening the door for His Majesty.
Yes, I met them.
Yes.
And they say they try to be there.
All right, brilliant.
So you contact, they will get a soul right now for they are listening.
Yes, and Bongo Herman.
Yeah.
So
like them and the drum and they come and give them speeches.
Brilliant.
Well, so far we have people like Mikey General, Paul Elliott, Major Light, Mackie Conchos, Profi, Asante Amen, Ras Jaja, Tension Band, and people like that who have already confirmed their participation as artists to be presenting their cultural art form still on that night. And we know a lot more coming in same way still, you know. We're putting it together same way still,
all
you know.
right. So keep the date in mind, March 25.
Yes.
You know it as Good Friday for us here in Jamaica. It is Bad Friday. And we never lose sight of the fact that we need to honor our moral obligation to remember. We're seeking truth. We're learning from the past. We're absorbing the spirit of human possibility, even through the survivors. And we're honoring our moral obligation to remember.
His Majesty let us know that justice is the axiom upon which good governance can take place. So justice is imperative within this struggle.
Right, and we're not asking for justice anymore. We're taking it now.
Exactly.
This is where it is.
Exactly.
And
all right.
I just say that obligation, even some of the artists out there who defend Rastafari, they must remember that it's the elders that bear the faith that they could carry this message through.
You have a moral obligation.
Honor the elders.
Yes.
And we need their participation so that we can have a good
commemoration.
Yes.
You
really do have a moral obligation to turn up.
That's out there.
You know? Yes.
They can get in touch with us.
Yes. How do they get in touch with you?
They can call ICA 361
1671.
Yes.
361 1671.
Definitely.
Yes.
All
right. We committed, you know, and is obligated for 1 year, you know, right round, you know. So if they give us couple hours of them time and couple dollars of them funds.
And it's standard bearers from many angles, because you as an artist, you're taking it to the world. And here on the ground, the Choral Gardens Benevolent Society, another aspect of the standard bearers, but we need to come together when it is important to come together. All right, thank you so much. We'll continue this conversation. They'll be back with us next week. My brother Economical, who is chair of the Choral Gardens Benevolent Society, Buzzrock, Pastor Elder, Treasurer Bongo Brown. Thank you so much.
We give thanks for your commitment to the struggle to Sister Kabu, you know, over the years, seeing we still, you know.
I have a moral obligation.
Give thanks.
I don't have a choice.
Bless.
Give thanks. All right, you're inside of the Africa Forum. It is Running African.
Hey, tell us something. Do you? I'd like to know. Do you remember Carol Garden incident? Yes, not you remember. Not you couldn't even walk against Babylon fence, no. Yes, not you remember. As out of nowhere a soldier and police heading on like hooligans and thieves. Yes, not to remember, not to just can't forget. Oh no. If we make a fuss, they treat us like uncles. Yes, not to remember. Beg for pardon, we treat like William Gordon. Yes, not to remember. Ronald Noble, we treat like Paul Bogle. Yes, not to remember, not to just can't forget. Oh no.
Do you remember? Do you remember Choral Gardens Massacre? Do you remember? You know, we watch, it's a funny thing how we behave as Jamaicans, you know. Every year around about September 9, every year around about then, we all are glued to our televisions as Americans come together to remember the names and to call the names of those who died in the 9/11 terrorism incident. But when we come together to remember those who died, who were brutalized, who were imprisoned, who were beaten, who were sacrificed by the state, when we come together to do that, then there's all kinds of commentary about whether or not we should. And as a people, we tend to, for the most part, identify more with the suffering of others who look closer to the representation or the representation of Jesus. So we come together around for the suffering to identify with those who suffered from a different race, from a different place, who really don't even look like us. We come together for that. But when it comes to our own suffering as a people, we cannot identify. So when the little blonde, blue-eyed baby dies, and that image is on the screens in our homes through cable television, we cry and we call each other, what a tragedy, what a tragic affair. Did you see that? Did you see that? And you talk about how your eyes just swell with tears. But when our own children suffer, when our own children die, who look like us, who are Africans, who look like us, we cannot identify. We must ask ourselves why. We must ask ourselves why. It's a psychic trauma from slavery that we have to deal with as a people. We demand justice for the survivors of the Coral Gardens massacre here in Jamaica. 1963, 53 years ago. We will not forget, and we will not allow you to forget, because we will not allow our children to forget that you massacred an entire group of people, that your plan was genocide against Rastafari in Jamaica. It's a good thing we have a change of government, because the government that is in place now, and we know it's a two-headed monster. We're not asking any questions about that. PNP, JLP, they're all the same. It's a two-headed monster, but the one that is in place right now is the system, is the government that presided over the atrocities at Coral Gardens, Mr. Andrew Holness. You have a responsibility. You have a moral obligation as Prime Minister of Jamaica, born after independence, as they like to say, to see to it that there is justice for those who were massacred, that there is justice for those who suffered, for those who were imprisoned, for those who were shaved with broken bottles, for those who the system turned the water hoses on, for those who had to wrap their husbands in mattresses, for those who are dead even now, who were here last year but are now today dead and have not seen justice. You have an obligation, a moral obligation, to see to it that justice is done for these people. You have a moral obligation to do that. It's an outrage against an unjust justice system. And every year, as long as we have breath, and we've been doing this since 1990 in this space, but as long as we've got breath, we'll continue to do this until there is justice for those who were massacred at Coral Gardens. We remember Coral Gardens. We remember that here you are calling for justice from David Cameron, when you yourself have not dealt with your issues here on the ground in Jamaica. Mr. P.J. Patterson, you wrote to David Cameron after he came to our parliament and insulted us. You wrote to David Cameron. You are demanding justice from the British. You are demanding justice for slavery. You also have a responsibility to see to it, to ensure you presided over 18 years of governance here in Jamaica, and you did nothing in this regard. You have a responsibility.
Do you remember Carroll Garden incident? Yes, not you remember. Not you couldn't even walk against Babylon fence, no. Yes, not you remember. As out of nowhere a soldier and police heading on like hooligans and thieves. Yes, not you remember, not you just can't forget. Oh no, 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 no. If we make a fuss, they treat us like uncles. Yes, not you remember. Beg for pardon, we treat like William Gordon. Yes, not you remember. Run to the noble, we treat like Paul Bogle. Yes, not you remember, not you just can't forget. Oh no, 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 no. Do you? I'd like to know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man get chopped and man get shot. Man get liquids, the whip and blackjack. And up till now the scar is in my back. Do you remember Carroll Garden incident? Yes, not you remember. Do you remember Carroll Garden incident? Yes, not you remember, not you just can't forget.
Black power! 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 Black power!
All right, we're back with you inside of the Africa Forum. It is Running African, and I'm very, very happy to be joined in the studio by our very, 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 very special guest who at very short notice agreed to come into Ultra and to be with us here today on IRI FM. Let me welcome to the studio Mr. Amadou Masali. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming in.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, and also Mr. Roland Luke.
Good morning.
Thank you so much, my brothers, for coming into the studio this morning. Mr. Amadou Masali is a Maroon ambassador in the diaspora, native of Sierra Leone, in the diaspora, and also consultant with the World Bank. He's an activist for national development, and he's here in Jamaica to nurture links, and I'm quoting here, between Sierra Leone and Jamaica. Also, Mr. Roland Luke, Sierra Leone businessman in the diaspora, and by the diaspora, they're based in the U.S., both?
That's right. Yes.
All right, so I was at the event in Trelawney Town last week, was it? And I saw heard the presentations from the Sierra Leonean delegation there, and wow, that really touched us at a cellular level. Genetic connection, genetic memory. We also have Mr. Odain Thomas, who's a tour guide and driver. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
All right. And on the phone lines is Chief Michael Grizzle, who we want to talk to just quickly about him looking back, a reflection on what happened there in Trelawney Town. Chief Grizzle, good morning.
Marcus, sister.
Hotep, my brother, Hotep. Let me just say, great work. And I said to you before that I must commend you and the team in Trelawney Town for being able to make this connection possible for the rest of Jamaica. It's like an opening of the way, literally, clearing the path. Did we not cut a stream, to the river? All right. So just looking back, for those persons who are not quite sure what we're talking about, remind us of what happened in Trelawney Town.
Yes, we celebrate in Trelawney Town on the 1st of March the historical celebration of the Culture 1739 Culture Treaty, and by extension the legacy of the Trelawney Town Maroons and the Atlantic heritage that it does have, and the connection that we do have in Sierra Leone, and being that the Trelawney Town Maroons were exiled in Sierra Leone for over 40 years, and still came back to Jamaica in 1841, even though 44 of those who came back still even went back to Sierra Leone. And the contribution of the Trelawney Town Maroons to Freetown, and also to the Creole language, the creation of the Creole language, which is now spoken in Sierra Leone. So that true celebration of having our kinfolks from Sierra Leone coming to Flagstaff itself, again, to open back that transatlantic passage.
Yeah.
That
it is another example for us. For us, it was another example of a door of return. They talk about the door of no return when our ancestors went through those dungeons on the west coast of Africa, and those doors were called the doors of no return. But in terms of the reopening of those pathways, really we see that in place spiritually and physically, literally, last week. How do you feel about the event? You had the Minister of Tourism and Cultural Affairs from Sierra Leone.
Honorable Khadija Sisse. And we have the Monuments and Relics Commission from Sierra Leone. Also the Maroon Church, which the Trelawney Towns had contributed in building in Sierra Leone, that we had the pastor from there. We have to give much thanks to Brother Amuda Musali, who we now have as our Maroon ambassador within the diaspora, that made that early connection, even earlier, when in 2011 two persons from Flagstaff had visited Sierra Leone. Brother Amuda Musali and a Peace Corps volunteer was there, was very instrumental in that. And based on that foundation, we were very happy and excited, and the community of Flagstaff rejoiced, and the ancestors rejoiced in terms of having our brothers and sisters and the unification of Trelawney Town and opening back the mega passage back to Africa.
Well, Chief Gristle, we'll talk about that some more. I'm quite sure in terms of the opening of the pathway, cutting a path through the streams, literally. And once again, just to say, great work, and continue the work there in Trelawney Town. Thanks so much.
Yeah, a big medasi to you, sister. Big medasi to you.
Akwaba. Yes. All right. So in studio with us, as you heard, Amadou Masale, Maroon Ambassador, and Roland Luke. What does it mean, Maroon Ambassador?
That's a good question. You're probably best poised to respond to that, or Chief Grizzle himself. But I guess it's just continuing to promote the links between Sierra Leone and Jamaica. I mean, overall, before we come specifically to the Maroons themselves. So I guess I'll go out there and start promoting all Maroons, first of all, but also Trinity Maroons specifically, because they're the ones that connect with Sierra Leone in a back and forth kind of way. Yes. But we have enough room for all Maroons. Yes.
Yeah, of course, and we're all Africans, and that's the thing that we're going to have to. And I talk about this a lot because it's well known in this space that I oppose in large part the treaty that was signed. So that when I turn up at a Treaty Day event, it is understanding the wider ramifications of what else was in the treaty apart from those areas, those aspects that say you must return Africans who escaped back to the plantation. And we've got many examples of that in the literature of Kodjo and others returning Africans to the enslavers. So we haven't come to grips with that yet in Jamaica. It's something that we're still working through. In the meantime, though, the process of this ongoing connection is important, and I think this is a flood door that we can't really stop right now. Spiritually, the time has come.
That's right.
And so that it's a tide that we must ride, or else, all our days are bound up in shallows.
Yes.
Yeah, we quote Shakespeare on the Running African sometimes. But Mr. Luke, what you are a businessman in the diaspora. Tell me about your business and how you connect back to Jamaica and to the Maroons.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm in the financial industry where I educate people how to handle their money, because there's a lack and there's a need for us Africans to have economic empowerment. So we need to learn about our finances and how to use it wisely so our great-great-grandchildren will not suffer. Without those that coming to the Maroon, my great-grandfather, whose last name is Paris, he actually was one of those that was returned to Sierra Leone.
Okay.
And it so happened that...
That's a serious connection back here. Yes.
It so happened that the story I heard was a hush-hush way, because my mom just told us that we have no relatives in Sierra Leone. We're actually Jamaicans. So she's always been telling me that, but I just got this connection when I talked to Mr. Masali about a few months ago that, wow, he's coming up to Flagstaff to meet the Maroons. And then when I started talking to him, I realized that I am actually a Maroon. Because my great-grandfather, who is last in Paris, had a friend in Sierra Leone with the last name of Thompson, which actually is one of the names that you have of the people that were returned. And they were the ones who I heard fought the British to release the slaves that were in the ships around Congo Town in Sierra Leone. That's the part I heard. And that if they were able to also get some of the loot from the ships, and from that portion he got a woman pregnant, which bore my grandfather, and he came back to Jamaica. So from that we've never heard from him. So my connection is I'm actually a Maroon.
Right, a Maroon descendant, and boy, look here, so we claim that we are African and you're Jamaican.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. Welcome, my Jamaican brother.
Yeah, welcome.
Good to have you. We're going to have to work this out, Mr. Amadou.
I see.
All right, so and I mean, your presentation in Trelawney Town was really spirited, and I like that, because and I told you that you connected with me on a cellular level. So when I heard you were coming here, I was very, very happy. Let our listeners know about this connection between, which you did so very well in Trelawney Town, that my daughter, who's 7 years old, understood.
Oh, really?
Yes. That connection between Jamaica, Trelawney Town in particular, and Sierra Leone.
Yes. Well, as you know, there's a story about the Maroons being tricked and captured and sent up to Halifax, Nova Scotia. Well, those Maroons, after a few years of living in Nova Scotia, realized that there was not much for them to do. The land was not just arable, and it was cold. And similarly, before them, in 1792, there were some African Americans, that were freed from the American Civil War with the UK or the British, and they were taken up to Halifax, Nova Scotia. And for the very same reasons, in 1792, we moved, about 1,200 of them, were moved from Halifax, Nova Scotia to Sierra Leone. It was then called the Province of Freedom. It wasn't Freetown, yes, but that was the capital still of the country.
Yes.
And I guess those Maroons that came there in 1800 had similar experiences, and they also wanted to move because they knew of this experience that happened 8 years prior. So in 1800, they landed in Sierra Leone. And when you talk about the Maroons in Sierra Leone, there's a lot of good history, good vibes that you feel, because they were able to shape or reshape or refine a Creole language, for one, and that's pretty important. So I guess they brought that Jamaican patois drawl kind of thing to whatever we had in existence.
Which you speak very well, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Could you say for the next minute or so the rest of what you have to say in the Creole?
Sure. So when the people then come now in a saloon from Halifax, Nova Scotia, then come with a skilled artisan. They're able to build, use them hand and make crafts. Then build one of the first church in a saloon, and call it St. John's Maroon Church. Still the national monuments in our country. And then After that, they do several other things. They then bring law and order, because inside Salone, the people don't immediately get sort of unruly. Or the Jamaica man and come and straighten them out in terms of law and order. They brought order. So we appreciate them for that. Then bring Gumbe, you know what Gumbe dance, Gumbe music, we have that in Salone, big time, Gumbe. Bami Boy, it's also believed that then bring Bami Boy. We call them Casada bread. It's a bread made out of cassava.
Yes.
Cassava bread.
Yes,
but and in a bami. So that the Maroons, they also believe that the Maroons, they also bring and come into the country. So we get all them good vibes there also with the Maroons. They're a big deal in Salone.
And this is well, I understood everything you said.
Really?
Right. So that if we go into Sierra Leone and people are talking like you.
Yes,
like that?
That's Creole. That's why I talk to you so direct.
So okay.
Kushe.
Kushe, no, tell me kushe.
Kushe means how you do.
Okay, kushe. I didn't know.
But kushe, it's a Nigerian dialect actually, because in Sierra Leone we're sort of the reservoir for many of these recaptives. So in other words, they have captured some slaves and they were taking them to the west or bringing them to the west, and then along the Atlantic Ocean, the British Navy will recapture them, and they'll just bring them all to Sierra Leone. So we have many Nigerians came to Sierra Leone that way in the 1800s. There's some Angolans, there's some Congolese, some Liberians. So Sierra Leone is like a melting pot.
Yes.
And then, yeah.
You know, just before, the night before I came to the event, I'm kind of putting my next anthology together, and I wrote I was just kind of putting the finishing touches to one of the poems, and there's a line that I kept repeating it, and I've said it here a few times since this morning. Did we not cut a path to the stream? And it's a poem about us searching back for ourselves through our bloodstream. And it's a question that is asked in different cultures on the continent of Africa in terms of finding yourself. Did we not cut a path to the stream? And then when I sat there, heard you talk, heard the Minister of Tourism talk, I recognized that spiritually, and I might sound weird, but it is what it is. I got goose pimples, literally, when I heard her literally saying, in other words, that there's a path that has been cut back to the stream physically, not just through the cells, not through the blood, the genetic memory, yes, but physically. She said to us, we want to welcome you back to Sierra Leone, or forward to Sierra Leone. And my president says, when you come, you will open the palace. And when I heard that, I was like, this is it. We talk about that, how do we connect to ourselves, to our motherland, because the idea of being in exile for so long, we remember, even though we did not physically experience who we are and who we were. And then when I heard her talk, heard you talk, heard the others talk, it seemed to me as if this is the connection for those who wish to return to the motherland.
Exactly.
Am I right?
Yes, very much so. I feel the same way.
Yes.
And as you can see, a whole government from an African country, Sierra Leone, was represented up in Trelawney.
It shocked me, actually.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
And the minister brought up an open invitation from the president.
Yes.
So, many
times... let us stop and say that again so our listeners understand.
Yes.
That the Minister of Tourism and Cultural Affairs in Sierra Leone brought an open invitation from the President of Sierra Leone.
That's right.
To Jamaicans.
That's starting this December.
Look at that. Goose pimples like all over. That's starting this December. Tell us about that this December. We're going to jump all over the place.
Sure.
Because we're really excited.
Pretty much so. And we're going to have a few groups. We have another organization called the Creole Descendants Union, which the Maroons are part of, but they include the people that came from England in 1787, Black Paul, in 1792, the Black Loyalists from Canada, and then the Maroons in 1800, and then the many other recaptive Sierra Leoneans today.
Yes.
So it's going to be a big party, and we're extending to all our kinfolk in the diaspora. And I know there are many Jamaicans here who may not be tied to Maroons, but also have relationship with African countries, Sierra Leone especially, because we were very, very active in the slave trade during these times.
Yes.
And so this is not just a welcome to Maroons or Maroon communities, but to all Jamaicans who want to connect back to Africa.
I'm not quite sure what's going to happen in December, but I have a feeling that we're going to see some kind of a an exodus in terms of how we take up that invitation to be there.
Absolutely.
In December. I can just tell you this straight that I postponed the launch of my book from August to December.
Really?
Yeah, I'm already launching it in Sierra Leone.
There you go.
Wow. Right.
It is what it is.
and make goosebumps already.
and if I have a sister like you working with us to make this happen, I have no fear.
And we got Sister P in Portland. As a matter of fact, we should call Sister P in Portland because Sister P also has been one of those persons who's guided so many persons to the continent of Africa. We've been to Ghana and so many other places on the continent of Africa over time. And the minute I came back from Trelawney Town, I called her. She was the first one. And I said, Sister P, you know, I don't need to say much, but you just need to know this. And she called me back like a day after to say, well, listen, I think we can get people there for under so much amount of money.
Really?
And yes, in terms of those who are not on the delegation, that is going to be the formal delegation.
Sure.
But she's already looking at this as to how to move persons in December to Sierra Leone. What's going to be happening in Sierra Leone in December? That is so.
But before you mention, before I address that question, I want to let you know that I was also in Portland yesterday.
Did you meet Sister P?
Yeah. I didn't meet Sister P, but I was in Portland. We went to see the Charlestown Maroons.
Oh, really? Mama G's up there. Yes,
Mama G rode with us from Kingston.
Mama G, couldn't you have taken them to meet Sister P?
Big shout out to Mama G, by the way.
Yes. And interestingly, she said something there at the event too that really makes a lot of sense. She actually said that, you know, we talk about going back to Africa, and Sierra Leone is a gate. And, you know, she said something that had me in stitches. She said, when you get land, you just use Sierra Leone as a doorway, and then you can't just go anywhere over the continent you want to go. It makes a lot of sense.
It does, doesn't
because we've been having conversations forever with Ghana, Nigeria, and other countries, but this seems to me to be a very practical response. All right, so my very special guest in the studio, Amadou Masale, and is it Masale? Amadou Masale?
Yes, you're saying it the right way.
And Roland Luke. We remember Amadou Diallo. Yes.
My namesake.
Yes. All right. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening in December in Sierra Leone.
Okay. Well, pretty much we don't really have it envisioned as clearly yet. But the plan is to have all of these different groups come to the country and have an opportunity to show their, you know, culture in some way, shape, or form at the National Stadium, where the president will be in attendance, and hopefully he can make a proclamation where we can even make it more conducive for these types of connections to go on, because this is a new era of our Africanness, if you will. This is what I believe personally, and I think that the timing is right to take these practical steps and make things happen, things that we've been talking about for so long.
Yes.
Well, here we are knocking on your door, Jamaica. How can we take this to the next level in terms of connecting the African diaspora back to the continent? Because again, this is my opinion, but in the absence of that, in the absence of the African diaspora connecting back with the continent in a real way, our plight will be a long time from now. You know,
yes.
We'll continue like we are. We need to change the narrative.
Right, so it's going to be a big homecoming in December in Sierra Leone. I told you spiritually it is right. It came out of nowhere. We didn't expect it. It wasn't planned. In Jamaica, we're calling Sierra Leone back and forth. It's unfolding, and because it is unfolding like this, it is a spiritual journey, couched in the physical movement. Let us remember that. My brother Roland, my Jamaican brother.
Yes. Wagwan.
Why nothing something there? You know. Are we gonna do this then? So you want me to do this in a patwa then? Are we gonna do this then? So you want me to do this in a patwa then?
No.
Let me see what you have in patwa. You go on first.
Okay. No, I'm not that fluent in the Jamaican patwa.
Yeah.
But I have the Sierra Leone patwa. So out the body.
Yeah. So do the Sierra Leone patwa. Is it
out the body.
Oh, the body.
Yeah.
Right. That means how are you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So one of the things that I go say na Creole now is that we go for come together, we go for unify, we go for get economic empowerment through education, we go for teach yourself how for fish rather than we just go to collect fish, we go for teach the picking them how this union is very important, very vital, that we keep it right and teach and educate. And yes, plenty things in the way we go say, yes, not so good history, but still, we need to bring the history out and leave the fact and let everybody get their own opinion. And that way, we go for make sure say we not affect anybody, you understand me, in any negative way. Because now we grandpa didn't do it. Like what me grandpa do, what we great grandpa didn't do. And right now, the picking them, they're all lost. Someday America, someday Grenada, someday Salon. We don't know the history. And I think the history is the key for the future.
Oh my God! This is all my ancestors, I should say. This is phenomenal. And I'm going to ask again. So when we go to Sierra Leone, this is how people are talking.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. So there's really no problem.
No, you can survive. You can survive.
There is no problem. Tell us a little bit about Sierra Leone for our listeners in terms of governance, probably right now. What's happening in the country?
Yeah. As you were sort of chastising your leaders here, I was saying to myself, well, it seems like we're the same everywhere pretty much, because in terms of leadership, our country have struggled over a long period of time now. We have lots of natural resources, diamonds, bauxite, iron ore, rutile. I think we have about 17 mineral resources. But you know how sometimes you hear the term resource curse? Mm-hmm. It seems like our resources have been a curse to the greater population, the masses, as opposed to a blessing. And we struggle with that. We have a current party, All People's Congress Party ruling, in governance. Yes. And they've tried to do some things, but there's a whole lot more that they can do better. One thing I can say, though, is that they seem to be open to transparency and accountability. For example, only under the administration did we start seeing an audit report being put out of the government and their finances being put out publicly. And that's a good thing. But the report is so damning also. Yeah. It's like, we really need to do a lot of things. But for the most part, we're pretty friendly people, and we tend to go to school. A lot of us gravitate towards education, even though quality of education in my country has kind of dropped. Now that I've mentioned education, I want to say quickly with some of the discussions we had with University of Technology here. We met with Dr. Ellen Campbell-Grizzle. A big shout out to her also. She came to the event up in Trelawney, and we talked a bit, and came back down and visited the institution in Kingston. We're trying to see, over and beyond just the fanfare, where are the real, opportunities to interact.
And that was going to be my next question in terms of persons who are listening, who, and we always have persons in Jamaica like that who want to invest, who want to go to literally repatriate and to start businesses. What are the opportunities for people like that?
There are opportunities because in my country, there are many other foreigners, coming to, not that I'm xenophobic, but it is what it is. We have the Chinese, we have the Americans, we have the British, we have the Russians. They all come in there and participate in investments in one way or the other. I would also like to see my African diaspora people take advantages as with regard to investing in a country, and also doing trade. There may be things we need in Jamaica that you can get from Sierra Leone directly, and vice versa. Instead of us going to China or wherever else, I think we can do trade amongst our countries. Another thing, education. I'm impressed with some of the things I saw. We also met with Dr. Irvin McKenzie, who's the Dean of the School of Dentistry at the University of Technology. And we were impressed with some of the things that he showed to us and how much training they do at their school. I can see students from Sierra Leone. We don't have any dental schools in my country. I can see them coming to Jamaica under the auspices of such a organization. organization to do some good stuff.
And these are really good conversations to be having at this time. This is brilliant. Well, you are facilitating and you're nurturing those links, Amadou. Is it a difficult task? What does it take? I know you're making these initial connections, but is there a greater level that you'll have to take this to make things happen, and what are the challenges there?
Well, yes, you're quite right about that, because first of all, when I do this, I don't do it under the auspices of the World Bank that you mentioned I'm a consultant for, nor do I do it under the auspices of our government. I'm just, my friend here calls me Indiana Jones. I just on my own, I go and look for good trouble. Yes. So that's how I came to vacation to Jamaica for the first time last year, and I found myself up in Flagstaff because I had met these guys that came in 2011, Knute Cameron and Nicole Ferguson.
Yes.
They actually were the ones who started all of this, because they came from Trelawney, from Flagstaff to Sierra Leone.
Yes.
Looking for
As a matter of fact, interestingly enough, and we mentioned it last week, we actually interviewed them before they went.
Yeah, really?
And linked with them in Sierra Leone from the Maroon Church. While they were in church.
That's right. I heard about that link. I didn't know it was you guys.
That was right.
Yeah, it was awesome. So that's what started all of this. And then we were supposed to come the next year whilst you guys celebrated your 50th independence anniversary, in 2012 rather, because they came when we celebrated ours in 2011.
Okay. Well, that would not have been a good time.
No, that's true.
We're still fighting for independence.
Well,
it is what it is.
We're in a similar boat.
Yeah, we have 62 on the paper, but it's a promise that's unfulfilled. A revolution that is unfinished and needs to be fought. So there are opportunities there. The Chinese are there China is in Africa. China is in Jamaica in a very big way also. So that we have other nations taking advantage of the opportunities presented both in the African diaspora and continental African. Whereas we seem to be we're locked in a thinking, it seems to me, that Africa in particular is not the place for investment. It's not the place for black people to go. You're better off in Miami or New York and so on. And obviously this is part of the neocolonization, and it's also part of the psychic trauma. But in terms of bridging that gap and changing that thinking, do we need practical solutions so we can say to this person, here we are, this is evidence.
Yes.
This is evidence-based.
Yes.
What do we need to change that thinking? I hear you talk about education, but I'm not so sure, and I'm asking because I don't know.
Right.
How do we begin to change that thinking?
Yeah, and I don't know either, but I think that if we take practical steps towards trying to make things happen, for example, in Sierra Leone, we put on expos, investment expos, forums like that. We can do the same for the Caribbean. Let people know. In Trinidad, it's an oil industry. We just found oil in my country. I mean, how much can we learn from Trinidad in terms of competencies in the oil sector?
You just found oil in Sierra Leone?
Not too long ago, yes.
Okay.
They're still doing some studies around that.
I wonder who's going to be in control of it?
That's a good question. It's basically the government. I mean, and you know how governments work in African countries. Some guys are going to get favorites because of one thing or the other or what's not. So if that's what you're doubting, we expect some of that, but hopefully that the masses can intervene. And here's another thing where we need the African diaspora to participate in African governance, because the more we get together and start investing and holding our leaders accountable, because we can do this better than other guys. I mean, from what we've seen in the past. I'm more likely to hold my government accountable than someone else, because they have a different agenda. Yeah. And sometimes it does work on some of our politicians.
And China, for example, has a policy, or had, because we see that policy changing, of non-interference in terms of, governance.
Right.
And, so that corruption spread on wherever China goes.
Yeah.
And not to say that America or the other countries are any better, but this is new colonization.
Right.
Settlement colonization. Are you faced with that in Sierra Leone in terms of a settlement aspect of things? Because we're dealing with settlement colonization here, which it seems to me that there's not much conversation about.
Absolutely, we do experience. You want to speak to that, Tom?
Actually, I was in Freetown in 2011 also, and it bothered me when I saw the road construction on a major street done by foreigners, which I believe were the Chinese. Not too sure because I don't know whether they're Chinese or, but they all look Asian.
Yeah, man, it's China.
And the workers were actually Chinese, not Sierra Leoneans.
Yeah.
Also, I noticed they're building, settling in my country in a massive way.
Yeah.
And that bothered me. So it's something which I'm asking the same question, but I'm not a politician. But the only ironic part, I'll say, my father was very involved in bringing the Chinese to Sierra Leone. Because I remember when I was quite little, when I met the ambassador, when they built the hospital, I was going to the hospital. My father built the first Chinese restaurant, and I liked that. But going back after so many years in 2011, see what is going on, it bothered me. Is the intention for the good of the people of Sierra Leone, or is it something else?
Yes, it's questions that we're going to have to answer sooner than later, because the entire continent is faced with that very same question, and so too is the African diaspora. China talks about a win-win for China and a win for the country they invest or they settle in. And if that is the case, I think because those the continental African, the African diaspora are actually going to the table with less than China is carrying, then that is workable. But here we're seeing not necessarily that. We're seeing a win-win-win-win-win for China, and we're not sure what's happening for us apart from the highways.
Yeah.
And the highways are beautiful. Have you traveled on China Hill, for example? That's what I call it. Did you come in from Kingston?
Well, we've been from both sides, from Montego Bay and Kingston. So we've been on
Kingston
China Hill.
Is it? Kingston is it?
Is that right?
So you've been on China Hill?
Yes.
Yeah, isn't it like beautiful?
It is.
It wasn't always like that, by the way. Really? You came here. So it really is beautiful. So I think we're blinded by that. So it's a kind of a smoke and mirrors kind of situation. We're blinded by the road connectivity, and I think it's happening across the continent of Africa.
Right.
South Africa is dealing with it in a very, very serious way now.
Yeah.
And Ghana too, because of how it's impacting the manufacturing industries. What impact has that had on Sierra Leone though? For now, because you talk about the natural resources before.
Yes.
Is it mining?
Mining, pretty much, yes.
Agriculture.
We do have agriculture. Agriculture is the largest contributor to our GDP, actually. About 45% comes from agriculture.
Has China now bought up the lands then? Or
there have been some issues. It's not just China. Other countries also. I mean, there's been a company coming to do sugarcane, to bioenergy, biofuel. And they've all had a lot of issues with some of the, locals. And people get arrested around those types of things. But yeah, we've been pretty good with building infrastructure, roads in our country. In fact, the last president ran his campaign on his infrastructure development. You could actually see tangible things that happening.
Yeah, well, that happened here too, but they didn't win. I don't belong to any of those parties. I can just tell you straight.
Yeah, I hear you.
But it is what it is. So the roads were the highway and factored heavily. And the opening of the highway factored heavily in the election campaign. All right, so we have the same issues.
Yes.
Wherever we are, we have the same issues. We have this very same conversation happening across the continent of Africa. What is the role of Africans in the diaspora in rebuilding or participating in what is being called by the West the African Renaissance?
Yes.
Africa Rising.
Well, I think in investments, capital resources, one great way. But over and beyond that, I think if the African diaspora can intervene in the continent, we'll be able to hold our leaders more accountable, because those of us who are in the diaspora are a little more exposed, and we can, analyze situation. Many people in my country vote because we belong to a particular ethnic group.
You're talking about Jamaica, are you?
No, I'm talking about Sierra Leone.
we have to say same which country, because it's the very same thing.
You see?
Yes.
We are you're us.
Yes.
We're one people.
So you're saying that there needs to be an intervention from the diaspora, and the diaspora can change that. What would that intervention look like?
It has come through an economic empowerment, political empowerment, and a concerted effort to change things. Because Africa is still virgin. In spite of all what's been going on, we still have a lot of opportunity to do many, many, many things. And it's what they call the last frontier. The West understands this, and they're coming en masse. So
you didn't see the cartoon in the was it the Africa Times or one of those newspapers with Africa spread on the ground like a woman spread on the ground, and Russia and China and England and so on, and all the Western powers holding her down, and two other holding out our feet, and America is standing over her with zipping down its pants.
That's too dramatic.
Yes, I saw that and I said that's exactly what it is.
Of course,
you know,
it is.
Yeah.
Wow. So, but you're saying it has to be economic, and it also comes with political empowerment.
Political empowerment. Yep.
Thank you so much. I'm really very happy to have our brothers in the studio, Amadou Masale, Roland Luke, from Sierra Leonean, Maroon Ambassador Amadou in the diaspora. It's a title that he should just accept. There's no question about it. It is what it is. And Amadou is a Jamaican, a financial genius who is also a Jamaican, African from Sierra Leone, whose parents told him from very early out that you're Jamaican. And that, I think, just encapsulates what we're talking about here this morning. Lots of concerns about the swine flu, and the fact that people are actually dying from complications as a result of swine flu. And we're seeing a report in today's paper that the fourth swine flu related death in 3 weeks has been recorded here in Jamaica. And it says it's a 29-year-old woman who was pregnant with twins who died at UHWI. This really is cause of concern because swine flu, as far as I can remember, is not new to Jamaica. Isn't it? Am I right? Yeah. And so what is different now that people are dying in the way they're dying from swine flu? So this is pretty scary, as Dermot Morris says on social media. Dermot, I'm agreeing with you that this is some scary situation going on here. All right, let's see who we have here. Hotep?
Greetings, Kabu Mahat Kuru.
Okay, it is you, Isis Milo.
Yeah. Blessed morning to you and your listeners and your guests in studio.
And to you too, my darling. They are actually out of studio for a little while now, but they'll be back shortly. But I'll pass on your greetings.
And you can speak on behalf of me. I'll be heading to Sierra Leone as well. What a powerful program this morning, like every other morning.
So we not left you nowhere, Isis.
No.
Go see it. Look here, it's not fair for me if I spend the time talking about when we go to Sierra Leone right now. Exactly. Nah, go good. Yes. Well,
so yes, my sister, thank you so much for having me on short notice.
So Sister P, well, I'm going to talk to Sister P. Look, Sister P, write down Isis' name.
Yes, right away. Right away.
I write down Michelle's name to every daughter. I say, ask me to get the cost.
Because we have to come and cover the event, you know.
Good. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Look at you only have 3 minutes now. So
okay.
Yes.
So listen.
Yes.
It's International Women's Month, as you know, and most of your listeners would know.
Yes.
And coming up on Tuesday, which is March 8th, International Women's Day, Conscious Reggae Party has been hosting Woman Vision for the past 8 years, along with Katis Brissett Empress Golding and Nadia, and Stanley. Nadia, right?
Yes.
And so we've been doing this, and it has been quite successful. And so this coming Tuesday, we're having the event at Nanook, which is 20 Burlington Avenue, in association with Women Initiating Self-Healing and, of course, Up Levels.
Yes.
Right? And it includes a revolutionary panel discussion with sisters out of England, Australia, and also, but most, Jamaica. And we'll also have performances, for the most part, all-female. We have an all-female band, Cabo.
Yes.
Can you imagine Adashe? They'll be there. We have Aisha Bell, and you're very familiar with Aisha Bell.
Of course. Greetings, my
she'll be
sister
there,
Aisha.
of course. We have Minori. We have quite a few young, vibrant sisters. Minori, and most of them are coming with their bands. We have Raven Armani. We have Olivia Wilmot. And Katis is also performing as well. And so those performances will take place as well on that day.
Yes.
And I heard you mention about a poem for Sister Enid, and I would love for you to do that poem in a man. Is it pity you can't come into Kingston and do the poem in a
you know, easy to ISIS for my program. You know, easy to ISIS. Look here, man.
It starts at 7 o'clock.
Hello, people. I'm a friend. Make sure go on. Is it?
So we don't have a poet yet, so that would be so awesome. I'm looking forward. And it's so relevant. So it starts at 7 p.m. and goes on until about midnight. But even it's an all-female event, but guess what? When it's a family event. Brothers, sisters, mother, picnic, everyone is invited to come and celebrate.
And I must
go
ahead. Go ahead.
The theme is a pledge for parity. You know, that simply means you just want balance. Simply put. We just want balance, you know.
A pledge
all
for
aspects.
A pledge for
parity.
For parity. You know, Isis, I must congratulate you and the team who have been doing this for the years you've been doing it. I remember when you started, and to keep this going with the focus on women in the way that you have, it really is commendable. Let me just commend on the team for doing this. So once again, it's this Tuesday. And it's going to be
Conscious Reggae Party hosting Woman Vision All-Female Showcase at Nanook, 20 Burlington Avenue off Eastwood Park Road. It starts at 7 o'clock, and we usually start on time. It's not an all-night till daylight show. We'll be finishing by at least 11 p.m. So come out early and just have some fun with us to celebrate our sisters in all aspects of Jamaica.
I do have to go now, but thank you so much. And
thank you, my sister.
Let us talk and see you in Sierra Leone.
Yes, darling. So we'll be talking. We're walking together too.
Most certainly. There you go. All right. How are you doing, Mr. Dwight Fraser?
I'm in good spirits, and you?
Well, I'm in excellent spirits. You know, we're talking about that African connection, connecting back to our motherland.
Yes.
So it's put me in some really high spirits.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And as usual, I appreciate and hail you for your teachings, for your edification.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
No. And it's not meant to patronize you because I see you pull up. No.
What do you think I'm going to say now?
No. I just generally appreciate the fact that.
Well, thank you. And then I just like to say that, I mean, why are you in high spirits? So with your access now. So I'm saying now, with your access now, what a cabinet will look like tomorrow? What have you been told from your sources?
Well, to be honest, I haven't been told much,
but you have been told some.
Except that I hear, and as I say here, I don't want anybody to run with it.
Don't run with it. But if you hear a good source that come from,
no. That Ruel Reid, the principal of Jamaica College, was considered for the Minister of Education, and as I said before, this is what I heard.
Right.
That Mark Shields was considered for the Minister of National Security.
Well, his wife has said no, it's a lie.
Right. Well, I didn't see that part about his wife, right.
Yes,
but I was telling you what I heard some days ago.
Yes. Well, his wife has rubbished that.
Okay. And Olivia Grange.
And violently so too. Okay. Well, not passionately, but, passionately
brush it
so.
aside.
Passionately so,
okay.
Because I think she feels, as if people are deliberately. And I heard, people on the media start a rumor there now. God knows. Because
I don't know. I don't know where it came from. I just knew that I was privy to some information. Okay. And I said that
so we shouldn't dismiss it then?
Well, as I said before, I'm not in a position to verify anything. I'm just telling you what I heard.
Yeah.
And that Olivia Grange will be heading back to the Ministry of Sports.
Okay.
And as we would have been seeing in the papers that Audley Shaw, along with Favour Williams, could very well be in the Ministry of Finance. But
what about Auburn Hill? Because they was talking about Auburn Hill being there too. Oh, you're just hearing this, by the way?
By the way, so I'm telling you, the information that I have, this is as far as it goes. Those four ministries, yes. Nothing else.
Well, Emily Shields dismissing this aside.
Right.
That is dismissing that her husband is even the consideration of that is an insult to the Jamaican people. So I won't even go too much further with that.
Right. So yeah.
So that I don't think anybody in the entire JLP administration is that out of their minds, because that is a powder keg. you go that way, and even the non-Pan-African, even the dead Pan-African, is going to rise up and burn plantations like tacky.
And we don't want that.
Well, we will see. We'll see.
But as I said before,
that's not a road for Gopan.
Oh, okay.
No.
So that's what my information says.
We have enough problems with Franklin Johnston already, who has come back to us from England as a chief advisor to Ronnie Thwaites, and dealing with that, than to take us back to pre-colonial times, because that's what it would be. Colonial and pre-colonial. They may have forgot come talk to me. Like whatever black butcher come talk to me about that.
Yeah man. Sit down and have a discourse.
You're not even that's not a discourse, that's a fight. As I said that, that's a serious fight.
It's flashpoint.
No, we'd have to go burn plantations. Honestly.
I follow you.
We would have to burn some plantations. Cane field, banana field, Jamaica House.
Although we still don't.
We don't know United.
No. As to how far we come as a society.
We don't come that far.
No.
We don't come that far.
No, just about a half a century or so. But I believe we still can sit and have discourse.
No, not along those lines.
Okay.
So anybody who put it out there, deliberately put it out there for stir up people.
You feel so?
Yes.
Okay.
And the radio host will do it because I'm here when you do it. The radio host will do it. I heard when you did it.
Okay, we're not calling the name.
No, and I used out the fire. I hear you. I heard when you did it, and you did it deliberately.
Okay.
Right?
So what is your information telling you insofar?
I don't have none. What information?
Where the ministries and ministers are concerned?
No, I don't have that access.
You don't have any access.
I don't have that access at all.
No problem.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we're back with you inside of the Africa Forum. It is Running African. My very, very special guests have returned, Mr. Amadou Masali and Roland Luke. We're going to go to the phone lines. My broadcast assistant tells me that we have quite a few calls, lots of calls, she said, already holding, and I know how it goes with your credit and so on. So we're going to go straight to the phone lines to take your telephone calls. Hotep?
Greetings.
Oh, greetings, my brother. How are you?
Giving thanks and disturbed still. Rastafari, greetings to our brethren from Sierra Leone. You know, Sierra Leone was critical in Jamaica being an African outpost in the West. As my brother Galloway said in the movie Land of Look Behind, Jamaican African outpost in the West. Sankofa, go back and claim it.
Yes.
Because remember, the hypocritical British said that the end of slavery, that they would capture ships from other European colonial powers, and they stored, so to speak, other than the West Africans in Sierra Leone. Therefore, Jamaica became here to words and ways of being and a culture which came from outside of West Africa. And you know something is happening here, that the two most Africa-conscious programs in Jamaica, of course, your program Running African and Jerry Small's Straight Up.
Yes.
Now, it is alleged that a word was used, BUMBO, on his program, which happened because they changed the schedule without telling him, and like announcers all over. It has happened to Desmond Chambers, Dwight Wiley in the past, But then they used to have what is called a cough button, that if you wanted to say something that shouldn't go on the air, now you have the delay thing.
No, but Tekla, even with the delay, because as you're speaking now, I'm looking at my dump button, which is right next to me. I can press that at any time. So you do have a delay, and you also have a dump button. You dump I do my own technical operating work, so that I dump if I need to. But where there's a technical operator, it is also the purview. It is usually the purview of the technical operator to.
That's right.
To dump,
and they deliberately allow the word to come over.
But Tekla, is that so? Because this is also another case where we can be caught in a situation of slander if we're not careful. So let us be also very careful with saying that they deliberately did that. You understand what I'm saying?
That's right. But I'm saying this because Jerry himself did not hear the word, because in his routine, as news comes up, he just gets up and walk outside and go and read papers.
Yeah, because
come back.
Because that would be. I tried to get him to find out, but I wasn't able to get him. But I mentioned it this morning, and to say that he has a solidarity of this program and of myself personally, and that we're just waiting to hear from him exactly what the situation is. Because I have another chance, but I know Tekla, because I also spoke to you, that you have spoken to him, and that you'd have had some insights into what really happened. Now, did I hear you say that he's no longer on, or was it just?
I don't know what happened. Is that, as is usual, he stepped outside as news approached, he did not hear the word at all.
Yeah, because
and then by the time he went back, a young man who has not been very competent said that the accountant, who's like manager, says you're not to come back.
All right.
But let me take the point further, though. I just want to deal with this thing of African words in the language.
Yes.
And that it's seen as bad. Yes. Because the word B-U-M-B-O came from another part of Africa. You know, after the end of slavery, so-called end, and they brought people from all over, out of Sierra Leone. And so the word B-U-M-B-O is from the Congo, which means dead body. And African languages, are, they changed with the rhythm, they're tonal languages. So a word like C-L-O-T-H, clot, becomes clat, because we flatten vowels.
There are some rules on the book in terms of the Broadcasting Commission and in terms of the laws of Jamaica that media houses find themselves restricted and constricted in walking that tightrope. Or walking the spaces between another format. As a journalist yourself, an international journalist yourself, and an educator, Tekla, I'm quite sure that you understand what I'm saying.
I'm aware of that, but it's just the thing of they're so jumpy about things African.
But for us, I think what we have to do, because we've had, we came up on this already, where we challenged this at a very high level, that very same word. At what point? Because there's a song, that talks about bongo cart and Bongo pushes grass cart, and that song was banned, and that we had to challenge, because what the Broadcasting Commission said at the time, in the media we said the BC, but what the Broadcasting Commission said at the time was that it sounds too much like that word. Now, to make bongo a bad word in decent language in Jamaica tells you exactly where we are. So we are on the very same page. I don't know if my brother's in the studio from Sierra Leone. If any
look quickly though, share this one too, because look at the word RAS, meaning head, and you stretch it out. And when you stretch it out, tonally, it means something is wrong with your head.
Right, and as you're talking, my finger now is on my dump button, because I said, I hope
I'm not going to call it. I'm not going to stretch it out.
Right, because we are...
I'm just spelling.
Yes. Because this, but you understand what we're working with, Tekla. But
I know.
We have to challenge this, and we have to challenge it at the very highest level. And maybe now is the best time that our colleague and friend, a Pan-African, a Rastafarian in the media,
a warrior for Africa in Jamaica.
Yeah, is that this is being held over his head. I don't know. I don't have the details on it, but I think this might be a very good time to challenge these words at the very highest level.
Do people in Sierra Leone have the same problem? Just ask for us.
Is that a question?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Oh, can you repeat that? Sorry.
I met many Sierra Leone's in Africa, and I found that the dialect I met them in London, and we could talk easily.
Yes.
And do you have this problem of words which are essentially African being seen as bad words?
Yeah.
By a colonial mentality?
Yes, in some regard. Even us in our own native tongue, we have bad words, yeah? And it's very word that is in discussion. I don't want to say contention.
Yeah. And please don't say the word because that could get us. I wouldn't want me and Jerry off at the same time.
We also have that same word in our country. And it's a bad word, but it has a totally different meaning.
That word in your country is a bad word too?
Yes, there's a way different meaning.
But we don't want to get on the dump side, so let's...
No, exactly.
But it's nice to see how Sierra Leone is really critical in Jamaica becoming a complex of varied African tribes, more so than many other countries.
Most definitely. Tekla, it's so good. Always very, very good to hear from you in this space.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
We're going to fight the fight. We want to be straight up.
Of course, yes.
Give back.
All right, thank you so much, Tekla McFett. I think the drawback for us here in terms of these words, that it's just any old African word that can be seen as really a bad word. You know, any word from Africa. Hello, you're on air. Hotep?
Perfect, love. Greetings to you, Highness.
Hey, greetings, my brother. How you doing?
This time.
Yes.
How are you and family?
We're well, thank you. If you two are well?
We are.
Yes.
In spite of the ongoing struggle.
Yeah.
First of all, we want to, humbly extend condolences to the mom of the twins, the Wu, and also to us, Lucy, and the rest of the family, members.
Yes.
Condolences. And be strong and get stronger. Today, the 6th of March, is the birthday of Sister Sandra Alcott.
Do you mean Sister Alcott was transcended?
Yes.
Okay.
But we keep her alive, you know that.
Yes.
We want to extend earthly greetings to her.
Yes.
And we want to bless up the womb, Mama Alcott, wherever you are. Blessed love. Have a blessed birthday, anniversary.
Yeah.
Perfect love to the others of the household. In the same breath, we want to extend Earth Month greetings to Brother Walter Rodney. The 23rd is his day.
All right, we remember that. But look, we have a lot of calls holding.
I know that. Now. We'll go.
And we have just
as Muto said, the meat of the matter.
Right. I want you to direct your question.
On the sound of economics.
Yes.
By the Virgin there. We want to welcome that young, within the scheme of things. Our economic instability is terrible. As a conscious people, Rasta the Marvin Knife recently invoked that Leonard T. Howell's setting,
All right, my brother. We have visitors. We have visitors in the house, and we're talking about Sierra Leone. I know you're connecting it back to Sierra Leone, but if you could hurry and do that, because there are many others waiting.
Hurry and do that.
Yeah, if you could make yes, please, because we do have a lot of people holding, and we just need to get in as many as possible this morning. So do you,
my beloved sister?
I'm going to, my brother, do you want to make a comment about Sierra Leone? Do you want a response from the guest in the studio?
Of course.
All right.
So what we are saying is that mother, what was called the Marvin Knife, we introduced Leonard P. Howell's mother. If that mother can be looked at.
Well, let me ask them. I don't know if they know it, but let me ask them. Do you know about the Pinnacle? Do you know about Pinnacle and that model there?
No, not really.
No, they don't have that. All right, thank you, my brother. All right, I'm gonna ask you, because we don't do this often in terms of taking calls and asking people to be quick with your questions and so on. But we're gonna ask you to do that this morning because we do not have enough time and there's so many people on the line. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You can pay your UII hospital bills at any Bill Express location island-wide. Call 1-888-555 5555 for more information. The time by Bill Express is
9:35. You're inside of the Africa Forum. It is Running African. We're taking your calls inside of this segment of the program for a very special guest in the studio, Mr. Amadou Masale, Maroon Ambassador in the diaspora, native of Sierra Leone. And, he says he's not here in the capacity as a consultant with the World Bank, but he's a consultant with the World Bank, and also an activist for national development. Also in the studio, Mr. Roland Luke, Sierra Leone businessman in the diaspora, whose mother is a descendant of Maroons here in Jamaica. Hotep? Hotep, greetings, go ahead.
Greetings, Empress. This is the brother Ross Darwitt.
Greetings, Darwitt.
Yes, beloved. Just wanted to quickly say that I think that what we actually should try to establish is like a shareholders, diasporian investors international, association that allows those who are outside of Africa and so forth to be able to put money towards projects and be shareholders in the projects in Africa even before they get there.
Well, let me answer a comment from our listener, from our guest on that. How feasible is that?
Yes, that's quite feasible. In fact, part of what I do now, again, I don't want to associate what I do at the bank, at the World Bank, with this type of stuff, but it's also related. I've been consulted with the bank to provide diaspora, Sierra Leoneans in the diaspora, to invest back in a country of ancestry or origin. And I'm sure there's a way we can incorporate the Caribbean, the broader Caribbean, to the brother's point. So yes, that's quite feasible.
Okay, well, I would like to be involved with anything that you come up and implement with that, Ross Darwitt. And just to close out, Hanover, Bingi is the Nye Bingi Center is in need of help, and we just wanted to say that before we get offline. We're going to do a family day on the 14th of this month, and we'd like people to come out and support us in Lucy in Hanover to reunite the whole of the Rastafari family in Hanover more, precisely, but in the whole scale, bigger scale.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much. All right. Keep us informed on that. All right. So that's Rastawi there. As we continue to take your telephone calls, 974-5079, 5051, 5043, and our toll-free line is 1-888-991-4152. Message from Mama Fire here says to say thanks to all the persons who supported the Battle of Adwa, and we'll do that. All right, while we wait for these calls to come in, all right, sorry about that. Let's go back to the phone lines. Hotep?
Blessed morning.
Greetings. How you doing?
Everything not good as you sounding. Give thanks to the guest in studio there.
Yes.
I love to ask them if them government in Africa there making preparation to receive I&I, them black subjects from Jamaica and the Western world to return home to Africa. By the time we talk about Africa and Jamaica here, them say Africa don't want it. And I know that Africa is our birth home, our birth heaven.
That's right. They really do say that Africa. This is a feedback you get. When you talk about going to Africa, that Africa don't want you. So she's saying, what kind of preparation?
Emperor King Selassie, when he come here in 1966, see him say the same people him left in Ethiopia, the same people him come down here come stay.
All right,
we are blood brothers and sisters, and there's vast amount of land that I come on and inherit and live as free.
All right, let us get a response from our guests, all right?
I don't finish yet. I just want to tell them to lobby this Jamaica government to send home them black subjects out of Jamaica and the Western world, strength to strength. That's the only way to and the only development for us as a people.
Well, let us see what they say. Let us see.
International repatriation.
All right, well, let us see what they say. All right. Yes.
Well, in response to that, I'd like to say let action speak louder than words. Here we are as Sierra Leoneans reaching out to Jamaicans. That's quite contrary to what the message that you have there. And not only us as ordinary citizens of Sierra Leone, but we also have a government knocking on the doors of Jamaica saying, here we are one people. How can we relate or interrelate? So I'm sure there are schisms out there to try to play on our mentalities, globally, in terms of Africa not wanting, the African diaspora. The same things happens in America. We hear African Americans saying something similar, that they don't get along with Africans too well, but that is not the case, and we are living proof of it.
And we have to break that. We have to change that narrative too. And I think that this is an excellent way to do it, in the way that you have come in and is reaching out to Jamaica. There's also another thing where we talk about, and we quote this all the time: Africa awaits its creators and its creation. We talk also about how you go to Africa, and I want to talk about that sometime before we're finished here this morning, in terms of what is expected from us, if anything. Hello, Hotep. Hotep Garnet, how are you doing? Uncle Johnson.
One question: is there a stock market in Sierra Leone?
Stock market.
We do have one. It's not as active, but we do have one that has been set up a few years ago. However, it is not active. But indeed, to incorporate diaspora investments and intervention, going the stock market way could be, a good thing.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Garnet, thank you so much. And as a matter of fact, I talked about Africa awaiting its creators, and that actually came from someone on social media, in terms of what do you expect from us? What are you looking for? What are Sierra Leoneans looking for in that relationship? Hold the line for me, please, caller. Yes, go ahead.
I mean, that's a good question. I don't have the right answer for, but also I think we should be driven by what does the diaspora want. We have our arms open in terms of our government and our people, and it is what you guys, the diaspora, want that can shape how we go. That way you don't come into a canned type of
So
approach.
the dialogue is very important,
right.
and the interaction in the way you're doing it. Hotep?
Hotep Kwakabu, are you guest?
Greetings.
Yeah, you know who's talking to you?
No.
Sounds like Byron Cox.
Who is it?
Civilized.
Oh.
Civilized, okay. Are you... No, yes, go ahead. Civilized, greetings, my brother.
Yeah.
Yes.
Civilized.
Yeah, I want to know, I'm very interested in agriculture. I want to know if GMOs type agricultural products are done in Sierra Leone.
GMOs.
We have, a lot of different kinds of agricultural products. Rice is our staple food, so we grow a lot of rice. We do cocoa and cacao. We have mangoes, bananas, cassava, and agriculture contributes 45% to our GDP. So it's an important area for us as Sierra Leoneans.
And then he's asking in terms of that, whether or not genetically modified engineering has found its way into Sierra Leone, and to what extent?
Not yet. I mean, at least I'm not aware of that. I mean, they may be there, but I haven't.
Well, China has just bought, not Monsanto, the other one, what is called again, and Syngenta. And with that in mind, GMO is going to be everywhere soon.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. But I don't think we have an influx of that yet.
No, not yet.
We still have the from God to man kind of thing. Yes.
Okay. All right, Civilized?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for your question.
Yeah, man.
All right. It's about Sierra Leone. Hello, caller. Hotep.
Hi, greetings, Kabu.
Hey, greetings. How you doing?
Ras Asta.
Ras Asta. We were calling you at 8:30. I hope it's a question you have for a guest in the studio.
Yes, one particular question I'd like to ask is, when will we be able to come home without a visa? The visa restriction is it's not necessary anymore, because if we are brothers and Africa is our motherland, and we were sold out here in Babylon, why can't we come home without a visa? And there's another thing, Kabu, is our iFriends for next Sunday.
Right. Okay, all right. So you want to do both, hang up, and then we just take the answer?
Yes, please.
All right, go ahead with the iFriends. Yes.
Yeah, it starts at 11 a.m. and it's at Orange Street and Union Street, 10 Union Street, at the Rasta Black Interactive Music and Arts Institute. And we meet at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. We're going to do a tour of the exhibition, the Rastafari exhibition in the Civic Center. And 2 o'clock, we're going to meet because I am proposing that we get one ganja license for all Rastafari. So all Rastafari be able to work under one ganja license.
You don't have much, Asta, you don't have much time in this segment because you did miss yours.
Okay.
But basically, the Economic Development Conference is Sunday, March 13 at 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And this is at the Ras Asta Black Interactive Music and Arts Institute.
Yes.
And this is where...
And also at 3 o'clock is the Carl Garden Benevolent Society public open members meeting, and to invite all Rastafari to come, make sure and come there for that important benevolent meeting.
And once again, the Economic Development Conference is opened to Pan-Africanists and Rastafaris and African people generally, right? It's not just...
And Bongo Jerry will be special, will be there also.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
All right, so let's get to that question about visa, because I think it's a good question.
Well, as part of the Commonwealth, it is my understanding that as Jamaicans, you don't need visa to go to Sierra Leone. I didn't need a visa to come here.
Are you serious?
I was Sierra Leonean passport. I just presented it at immigration, and that was it. And Americans, the first time I tried to come here in Jamaica last year, the Americans didn't want to allow me because Ebola was prevalent then, but I hadn't gone home at all. So we had an issue. I had to call the Jamaican embassy, and they also asked for a visa. I guess they had to go to the records and realize that this was a Commonwealth country, and I was one also. So I don't need a visa to come to Jamaica.
All right, so you're saying Jamaicans don't need a visa to get to Sierra Leone?
No.
But how do you travel to Sierra Leone? What's the route? Do we go straight across?
From here, I don't. I mean, from the United States, I can fly from New York to Senegal, for example. I can go through Europe and directly to Freetown.
So you have to do that. You have to do America, New York, Senegal,
or UK, or Brussels, or France.
But a European city, or America,
yes.
and then straight to Sierra Leone, or?
No, you have to go to Europe or to some other African country like Senegal. There are no direct flights from the US. From the US
or
to
even
Freetown.
Europe?
No, Europe, you have many. You have from France, Paris, you have from the UK.
What about London? Okay.
London, Heathrow, Gatwick.
So you can go straight from London to Sierra Leone?
Right.
Okay, all right. So, but you need a visa for London for persons who...
Well, I don't know. If you're traveling on the same day, they can give you a resident. I mean, those are the kind of details we'll get to later anyway, it's good to get your passport first. That's where it all starts. Yeah.
That's true.
Yes.
All right. We really should work something out with the plane system.
Yes.
I mean, we sold our planes here, Air Jamaica. We've sold those out to Caribbean Airlines, so we don't even have an airline anymore. Do you have an airline?
We used to, it seems like as years go by, we retrogress. I don't know.
Boy, I mean, Jamaica and Sierra Leone mirroring each other on many levels. We're going to have to borrow a plane from Nigeria.
I know.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the phone lines. Hotep?
Blessed love.
Oh, greetings, my brother. How you doing?
Greetings. This is Ajanoa calling from Atlanta.
Ajanoa from Atlanta. Greetings, my brother. Are you going to Sierra Leone with us in December?
Yes, I'm looking forward to make my grand ascension into the homeland. Yes, one of the questions, main question, I have many questions, but one of the main questions I want to ask your guest, it's about Africa and the militarization of Africa.
Yes.
And I get several notifications and articles on my information here that France alone have 30 military bases in Africa.
Yes.
And of course, we know United States and all the other countries, and they're building drone bases. What is the gentleman takes on that? That's not good for us.
Yes. And in particular with Sierra Leone, to let us bring it to Sierra Leone, but generally AFRICOM on the continent of Africa.
And China is trying to match them on that as well. So they're going to turn Africa into a killing field. Is that what they're getting ready to do?
It looks that way, but anyway, let's have a take on that. Yeah. Are you holding Ajano, or do you want to hang up?
No, I'm good. I just listen.
Because I know you're calling from the U.S.
Yes, I'm good.
All right, okay.
Good.
All right.
Yeah, give thanks. Keep up the good work.
You too, my brother. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I mean, he raises great points with regard to AFRICOM and other military bases from the globe trying to, penetrate in Africa. And Sierra Leone has been approached because we have the largest natural harbor in Africa, the Sierra Leone River, and it could be an ideal place for such an entity. And with AFRICOM, it will bring a lot of other positive things to the country itself if we're just concerned about our self-interest. But from a global or continental perspective, we don't think it's a good thing, and we've actually balked at entertaining such thoughts. And we hope other African countries do same or similar. because there can be issues.
Yeah, because our countries are driven to their knees in order for them to accept AFRICOM, the militarization. We're having a similar problem here in terms of the militarization of the Caribbean waters and the Cold War between China and the West being fought out from Guantanamo Bay all the way down the coast. But Ajanoa, do you want to a quick rejoin and then let us say ciao? So much excitement about Sierra Leone, actually. Hotep?
Hotep Kabu.
Hey, greetings, my brother. How you doing?
Yeah, greetings. Mansa Musa, calling from Freetown in Manchester.
Manchester.
Yeah,
Yes, all right. Welcome, Mansa Musa. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, give thanks. I wanted to ask, in terms of technology, is Sierra Leone comparable to Jamaica in terms of, like, technology?
I would say to some extent yes, but not wholly so, because I think Jamaica is a little more advanced in terms of accessibility to internet alone. We have some challenges with that still, even though they put a decent backbone along the waters, the ocean there, but we still have challenges. And in my personal experience, I see Jamaica is ahead, at least in terms of internet connectivity. But I don't know how the Jamaica uses the internet to leverage as a leverage for national development. In other words, how do you incorporate ICT for development in Jamaica? We do some of that in Sierra Leone.
Okay. So that probably would be a good area of opportunity.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
All right, give thanks, man.
Yes, brethren.
All right, thank you so much. To my sister Aldith Hunker on social media. Aldith, I'm seeing you. You're back in the Netherlands, aren't you? All right, so she says that hearing us on the radio is making her really homesick. Thanks for the great program. I hope, Aldith, that you'll travel with us to Sierra Leone and that you'll take a group from the Netherlands. Just give me a little tweet there and let me know. And once again, to all our friends listening on the internet at irfm.net, and your many on the continent of Europe, in the UK, in the United States, in like you, Aldith, in the Netherlands. Thank you so much. And wherever you're listening from all over the world, thank you for that. It seems to me as if we're going to have an eclectic trip going into Sierra Leone. Yeah. Yes. Because of the response we're getting from overseas and also locally. We're going to have to wrap. Let's see if we can squeeze in one more, just one final one before we wrap. We have just a few minutes to go inside of this program. If not, but I'll just give you the final words, though, in terms of what would be now your advice to persons who are listening in terms of making this connection with Sierra Leone. Let's take this one quickly before that. Hotep? Yes, go ahead quickly. Hotep, my brother, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Yes, Kabu.
Yes.
Kabu, calling out from out of St. Thomas.
Yes, greetings.
Hello?
We're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said calling from out of St. Thomas.
Welcome, my brother.
I just want to find out how we can make the trip with you. The book launch in Sierra Leone.
I mean, like how you said that, the trip for the book launch in Sierra Leone. I think that's so we're going to phrase it. I really like that. All right, well, I'm hearing you. Keep listening because we are going to be telling you shortly. By next week, we should have some information.
Hello?
All right? Are you hearing me?
Yes, Kabu, go ahead.
All right,
man.
so what I'm saying is that keep listening and we'll have the information by next week in terms of how this will be done, all right?
All right, thanks.
By next week, Sunday.
I said enough love to your special guest in the house.
Right, and if you wish, you could call back and leave your number with Shamara Preston or with our telephone operator who's there, Jody, or with Jody, and then we'll ensure that as soon as we have the information, we call you.
He's one of Paul Bongo family, man. Thanks much.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, good. So we're going to be there.
Yes.
In December.
Yes.
What was it I was asking you again? Yeah. Any advice to persons who are listening wherever they are in the world who want to make it to Sierra Leone in December?
Well, well, first of all, I want to talk over and beyond just Sierra Leone in December because that's fanfare. I mean, it's all good and dandy to have that, but we should be looking more at a new era. Jamaica is where Garvey was from, and his principles, his ideas, they still valid today as we sit here. And over and beyond coming to Sierra Leone in December, which is going to be a good thing, by the way, and it's going to be like an opening to the continent, like Gamma G set up in Flagstaff. You can knock through Sierra Leone, and then when you get there, you can go wherever you want to go. but this is a start. And we look forward to having many of you guys, not just this one time, but in the back and forth kind of relationship. We're coming back on June 23 because the Charleston Maroons, they have their function every year, and they bring the Maroons from all over. We're going to bring our Maroons from Sierra Leone, and we're going to have some fun.
That's going to be a big thing.
Yes.
All right, so we're looking forward to that, and you'll be back to my brother from Jamaica.
Yes, my sister Wagwan. Well, I thank you for allowing us to be here.
No, you're going to have to say it in the proper language.
Okay,
I mean, this English thing don't work.
Thank you for allowing for can talk now. I will tell you, say it is something, I mean, not something where we get for build on. We not get for this, may it start soon, no more end. Like we build on it. Like we get more forum. Like we get more dialogue. Like we get more communication. And most of all, like most people only talk about economical strength. We cannot help anybody who in Bele the atom or in the eat or in the shelter. We can only help from an economical strength. So the strength, the big all man at this call here. With whatever we do, let we unite. Let find the things and we agree on, not the things we disagree on, and get economical strength.
Okay, brilliant. And you didn't get a chance, Amadou, to say goodbye for today in the language, so I'm going to give you that.
Yes, so me family within Jamaica, we don't can open the door now for now. This is a friendly challenge to all Jamaican and we don't ever want to connect back to the motherland. This is the opportunity. Let make it happen for we picking them and we picking them and we grand picking them in the future. This is not the time.
Okay, you see why we're going to go to Sierra Leone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My brother driver also, who is here with us. Thank you so much, Odane. All right, thank you, Amadou Masale. Thank you, Roland Luke. And thank you to all our listeners on the social media, on the 107s, on irfm.net. To my brother, Jerry Small, I say, we are in solidarity with you, my brother, and whenever and whatever, please let us know. We're ready to stand with you how we should as Africans. All right?
Kwenda mambu masaki vila mputusinga utabukiri bayaya lufalungandi ya mbemba mambu jame ya mbemba yesi bisukiri mama bonga
In the realm of the spirits, there's an ancient land where the trees have not yet forgotten how to walk.
I'm too big for that kid stuff, Grandpa.
I see you've brought her.
Hello?
It's an omen for one like him to walk among humans. He belongs to the walking forest. He's chosen you to take him home safely. Will you do it?
Hey, wait for me! Which way now?
It lies beyond the Hangle, river of dreams. That way.
None shall cross without the toll. Give him to me or turn back.
I'll pay next time.
Be not frightened, little one. We owe you our thanks. What can we do in return?
Can you take me home, please?
Very well.
Grandpa, I have a story for you. And that's how I made it home.
Ah, so who's telling the fables now?
Oh, but it's real, Grandpa.
socialist Fred Hampton used to say, to you we say peace if you're willing to fight for it. So peace, everybody, and we'll catch you in the whirlwind.
What I like.